And we're back. Welcome back to the episode of the Sketchbook Heroes with me, Ilias.
Me, Robert.
And me, Lothlenan.
Lothlenan. Yes, we have an awesome artist today.
Welcome. We're super
thank you.
stoked
Good
to
to
have
be
you
here.
here. Super stoked.
I'm so glad you brought me into your little hole.
Come on, sell it better.
Yes.
It's a padded room, guys.
With the stuff all around.
It really makes it sound so good.
It's like a hole in the wall.
They hand
Like
out free jackets as well, and you hug yourself, and like you can't really move, but they're super comfy.
And they're really nice.
Mm-hmm. And you get these used slippers that you can wear that someone else wore
It's
just
true.
before.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's not even a joke.
And
We're
they
givers.
made me a specialty.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be a good podcast
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
for sure.
So, who are you?
Who are you?
Well, my mom and my dad named me Andrea. Yeah.
Hi,
job, Mom and
Andrea.
I'm an illustrator from Canada, but I'm living here in Sweden right now.
Why?
Actually,
Just kidding.
that's like a dark, dramatic story. So I'll give you the short tale.
There are no short tales.
Dual citizen. So I just wanted to like live in Europe for a while.
Oh, cool. So which citizenships do you have?
I am Canadian citizen and I'm Estonian citizen.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Mother, father, who's...
On my dad's side, Estonian.
All right. Have you
Yeah.
been there a lot or often?
Actually, I went for the first time when I graduated university and was traveling Europe, and that's the first time I went. So I was like in my 20s, first time I visited Estonia.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I've never been.
Oh, it's really nice.
I've always wanted to go. It just felt like one of those places that was sort of...
You go to get drunk?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And but pretty much every relative I have has been over there, and they've all said like, you have to go. It's beautiful. It's super friendly. They have beer, you know,
They
Oh,
have
they
vodka.
have beer.
and vodka. So two of my
So
favorites.
it's basically like Poland and Russia, and they're
And-
just like,
and my house.
we have vodka.
Yeah, actually, it's cool because, like, aside from all that, most of Estonia's forest, and we like to brag that there's Wi-Fi in the forest.
We
And
have forest Wi-Fi.
yeah,
Just
in,
like
in Estonia, forest has Wi-Fi. Very leafy Wi-Fi.
Actually, we got. I think we all got the same job offer while I was working at King. There was this company from I don't remember where exactly, but they sent out this like job offer, and it said like we have 347 water fountains as part of like the appeal, and
Yeah.
you're like,
Nice.
cool. I'll move
Well,
there for
that's some nice white noise though.
Yeah.
Water fountains.
so weird.
I mean,
But,
that's a luxury most places can't afford. Like,
But they sent the same email to everyone and said like, "Oh, we saw your work. It's
Yeah.
really interesting." La la la. The same thing for everyone. It's
but
just
they're
like,
really proud about their fountains.
Were they in Dubai or like?
no. It was like, oh shit. What was the place? I don't remember. I still have the email probably, but I'll show you later.
Estonia.
So before we dive into like too much on your
Exactly.
dark past, should we just?
Are we
like-
diving in?
Yeah, we should dive into the whole thing and just get started for real with
Yeah,
intro
let's
music
do
and
it.
everything.
Let's cue the music. Let's do it. Nice one.
So yeah,
Come on, Andrea.
and also before we start, this podcast is brought to you in collaboration with 21 Draw.
21 Draw.
Where you can find awesome art classes and stuff online, and art books and other stuff. So check out
21-draw.com. Or just head on to their Instagram, where they give you a little bit of everything every day, pretty much from different artists. And like snippets from their books and little tips and tricks from their classes and all that good stuff.
Oh
So-
yeah, shit! I saw on their Instagram. I don't know if this is going to be there still next week, but they have like a 60% discount on their classes right now, so people can like actually try them out
Awesome.
for cheap monies.
So, head on to their website, check it out, or I'm guessing they have that same info on their
on their
Instagram as
Instagram,
well.
yeah. So
21 Draw.
bada bing, bada bang.
Let's do the music thing. Wow, yes. She's getting into it. She's
Air
definitely,
guitar.
I can hear it.
We call it getting guitarded.
Can I do the triangle? The ding.
but it needs more cowbell.
I've always been sort of missing that triangle.
Yeah, that's
Artists of the world unite. Step out of your comfort zone into the danger zone.
They loved 80s cartoons. Even with beards and tattoos, you know they haven't changed at all. Failing sketchbooks every night, getting better with each line. Sketchbook hero, imagination burning. Sketchbook hero, sketchbook hero, pick up the sketchbook hero. They don't seem to have any line. Sketchbook hero.
all right, and
we're back. Yes.
We just cut that in every time.
Yeah, we do.
Perfect.
Oh,
Oh, Robert, you son of a bitch! You had your phone on the table.
I'm never this popular.
No one ever calls me.
Nobody, actually.
So we are
Super sad.
back with Andrea, and we're going to ask her a couple of questions. Should we start with the fan ones?
Sure.
And I'm going to call them all fans, all the 5 of them.
All the 5 of
All
them.
the 5.
All the fun.
And then we can start from the beginning.
Yeah, just so we don't forget it.
Because we will forget.
will.
That's what we do.
Yes.
Forget heroes, forgetting stuff. I have nothing. Love your parody artworks, famous artworks. Are you working on any more of them?
I am. In fact, I have this thing where I'm constantly working on a lot at the same time. Because if I focus too much on one, I kind of want to move on like right away. So I need to step back and I need to actually do a couple things at once. Otherwise, I'm not going to see the mistakes I'm making. So I am working on more stuff right now. And I have things I haven't even posted yet. I have like 2 entirely finished pieces that I haven't posted on my Instagram yet. So you'll see those soon.
Cool.
Nice.
And I actually really love your takes on all these like old paintings with
you.
your like twist to them. They're really, really nice.
I think what I like most about doing it is, like, I'm an art history fan. I had a crazy art history prof in university, kind of like instilled this great respect, I guess. So I love that I can like do this and I can kind of spread my love of it and like expose it to other people. And also it's kind of educational, not only for other people, but for me. Because like, you know how artists like study the masters?
Yeah.
Because that's what this is. It's just, yeah, I get to do it for fun. And
Yeah.
And with
I
your little
love
twist
that.
on it.
yeah, exactly.
It's beautiful. And it,
Yeah.
because I met you at Comic-Con, so my introduction to you was seeing you at your booth with your stuff.
You brought me water. Thank
I
you.
did. Yes. It was the bubbly kind.
It was.
It was also the only kind. But yeah, so that was sort of my introduction to you and who you were as a person, and then slowly but surely started, you know, seeing everything else you were doing and just understanding how much of a lovely person you are.
Thanks.
So super happy
You're
to have
lovely
you here.
too.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my God.
That's such a Swedish thing. Like if someone
Yeah.
says
It's
something
like,
to
oh
you,
no,
you
no,
too.
you, no, you were.
I thought that was like American
Yeah, it is.
teenage movies. Like,
Well, we always do that.
Oh my God, Cindy, you're beautiful. You can.
Shut up.
Yeah, exactly that.
So fetch.
But I wanted to jump in before we go on to the next person's question.
Oh yeah, by the way,
Not that we-
thanks Druv.drew this.
Draw.do this.
Drew.this. God damn it. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, just get a better nick.
Drew this.
Keep your name. Druv drew this.
But because the previous episode we released, we were sort of going on about school and not school
Yeah.
again.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
And
yeah.
Ilyas brought up his dislike for art history. And
what?
No. It's
How
I
dare
no.
you.
The thing is, I don't personally like. It doesn't benefit me. Like I can study them on my own, but I don't want that. I don't want to pay top dollar for someone doing that to me.
But then you don't get the crazy art history professors like I
Yes,
had.
I know, but you apparently had, you know, like the Robin Williams Dead Poets Society.
Yeah,
art
I did.
history
I
dude.
did. I really
Whereas
did.
So did I.
some of these assholes are just like, they're killing you with the facts. You know what I mean? Like, oh, read this nice text about, and I don't like people getting indebted for stuff like that. But if you appreciate it, I think you should definitely get the choice to do it. You know what I mean? Like, so it's mostly about art schools that, like, some people do it for 3 to 5 years and they come out of it not knowing like the right side of the pencil. That makes me sad because they're going to be paying that shit forever.
Honestly, you get what you put into it, though.
Definitely that as well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that everyone that goes to art school
That's
is...
it. I didn't go to those classes. I went to the first couple of them, but realized that, well, you know, my intake of this type of information isn't really benefiting my art in any way. And then because my goofy teacher was the goofy teacher he still let me pass, but not... Like, I was sitting outside drawing or sitting in that class drawing and doing my own thing while sort of picking up little snippets of what he was putting down. But, you know, that's... Again, the goofy, awesome teacher that he was. He was like, well, dude, you know, you do your stuff and just keep focusing on that. You don't have to understand everything that came before you. So I'm going to let you pass anyways. Now, he has passed, unfortunately. Shout out to Bosse. But, yeah, so I'm sort of in between you guys here, I guess.
No, but I'm for
but it was
both.
just
I'm for
before
both.
I
It's
forgot
just,
that we actually had talked about the art school thing.
I mean,
But-
like,
Yeah, what are your, apart from the art history stuff?
having a special teacher and all that, yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm a fan of both. I've done both. That's why I think both are great. I started with school, and that was great because school not only gives you contacts and it teaches you, like, you know, how to socialize with all these other artist people. And plus, like, you know, when you're in high school, if you're the artist, you're kind of like the superstar in your high school. Like, I'm the artist, I'm good. But then you go to art school and you're surrounded by all these other people who are better than you. And then you kind of get a reality check and be like, okay, so I need to get better. So I think school, like art school, is really important for things like that, for making contacts. Also, you learn that what you put into it is what you get out of it. So it doesn't matter if you have like one of those boring asshole teachers who, like, you know, doesn't even give you the time of day and just gives you the assignments and the textbooks. It's still like a character building thing, I suppose, to get through it. Like, I had this one teacher, and I had him for like 2 years. Like, I have my degree. I went to school for 4 years. I had my bachelor's, and it was only in the 4th year that you realized, oh, he's actually cool, and he actually treats you like a person in the 4th year. But the 3 or 2 years before that, it was kind of like first get through this bullshit, and then you can, be on his level.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, and plus, like in my school in particular, we had like the professionals come in. Like, that's another thing about going to. You get lectures, you get guests come in, you get the life drawing courses, which is amazing. But like we had close ties to BioWare because the school that I went to, kind of actually the program I was in started because one of the graduates became a really famous character designer, and so they had a character design course built into the curriculum after that. And BioWare, which makes Dragon Age and all those Mass Effect and whatnot, they came in and they have a lot of my school's graduates working for them. So we kind of like held hands through the 4th year. So that's like all benefits of going to school is things that you're not going to get otherwise. If you do self-teaching, like I also did that. I did schoolism. I mentored with a Disney artist for a while. All these things that I did outside of college, university curriculum. And again, self-motivated. So you get into it what you put in.
Same.
But yeah, so long as you put in the effort, like you can learn a lot. Like I learned way more out of school than I learned in school. But I still think that my 4 years at my college university were worthwhile.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, what is your perspective on, because the reason why I think school is cool, and
You
like,
had to rhyme it.
No, oh, shit, I didn't even think that.
Saved by the bell.
But what I'm saying is that I'm not against art school in general, but it is like every student is not the same. You know what I mean? And some people, if the teachers are bad, they can ruin someone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's my problem. I'm not saying that all art schools are bad in any way. There are some bad ones to some people, and there's,
Well, in that sense, I mean, it's just like real life. You're gonna have gonna have people you work for. You're gonna have people at the grocery store. Some of them are gonna be assholes. Some of your teachers, some people who are above you, like your teachers. You just got to deal with them being the way they are.
It's just like
Elias dropped out of high
I
school.
dropped off everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's just part of life. You deal with
Oh
it.
Yeah.
definitely.
But yeah, I didn't want to turn it into the whole episode. I just
No,
wanted
let's not. Yeah.
to because we touched upon it. I didn't want to just brush by it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's not forget the rest of the questions.
The rest of the
Yes.
questions. Yeah. This is why our episodes turn into 4 hours.
Sorry, that's me. I'm dragging things
No,
on.
no, no,
I
no.
blame myself.
No. We are
I'm making
dragging
people
everything on.
derail.
We derails. That's what we call it. Okay, so
All right.
God damn these names. So this is either Diedrich or Died Eric _mod.
Yeah.
You know who this is?
I do.
Okay, do you know how to say his name?
Diedrich.
No.
No, cool. At what
Diedrich.
age? Diedrich mod. At what age did you know that this was what you wanted to do?
Actually, I was in my final year of high school and I still didn't know what I wanted to do. But I ended up, I took a year off. Actually, that's a lie. Okay.
I did things.
Here we go.
So the only thing I was ever really good at was English and art. And for a while, I was like, I want to be an actress. I want to be a director. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a journalist. But I took a year off of, I took a year off from school. Like after I graduated with honors, and then I found out that they were going to Japan for the next school year. So I took grade 12 all over again, even though I already graduated with honors. So
Because you wanted to be
because
in
I wanted to
Japan.
go to Japan.
Of course.
And in that time period, I kind of was using it to think about what I wanted to do. And it was just more natural for me to go to art school. Like I had to do something. So I went to art school. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Are you happy with that, Diedrich?
Diedrich the
Taking a
mod.
year, if you don't know what you want to do at the end of high school, take high school again, and then you'll figure it out. That's the
Art
lesson
school
of
or
that.
more school? Next episode.
Yeah.
Okay,
No, I
so
agree.
the next one is Maddie Peacegrove, and she's asking like, what has been your biggest struggle on your art journey?
Going to Japan or redoing high school?
Actually, the biggest struggle is an ongoing struggle, and I think a lot of artists can probably relate. You never think that your work is good enough. So,
But that's what drives us as well. Like I would
you
hate not having that.
You could go left or right. You could give up or you could try again.
Exactly.
And sometimes you're stuck there being like, well, what should I do? Should I give up or should I keep going? I keep going because I have awesome support. Thank you. But yeah, that's the
I like
biggest
that.
struggle.
Yeah.
Okay,
Short and sweet and good.
So let's move on. We have 3 more that we should take up. So Therese, shit, how do you read her name though? Therese Nienhusen.art.
That's such a Swedish accent you
Yeah,
dropped on
Yeah,
there.
but I have to because it's like a Swedish user.
Therese.
What's the best part about being an illustrating according to you?
The best part of being an
Smiley
illustrator,
heart. No.
yeah.
Yeah.
Easily, the best part is that unlike other careers, there's never any skill cap. You're constantly learning. Like, I try my best to learn about as much as I possibly frickin' can. And I think that makes me a better person. And it all has to do with being an illustrator because there's no skill cap. You're constantly learning. You're constantly getting better. And it kind of reflects on your life as well. Yeah.
Okay, so next one is digital art versus traditional art. Both are still art, but what do you think someone who is just starting out should focus on?
Good question.
Yeah, that's actually kind of difficult to answer because if you choose not to practice art until you get your hands on a tablet or something like that, then you're wasting time. You should just be drawing with a pencil or pen instead.
Word.
But having an iPad, having a Cintiq or a Wacom tablet, they're not going to make you like better. So if all you have right now is paper, pen, paints, whatever, draw with those, practice with those. If you get your hands on a tablet or an iPad or something, it's an expensive investment at first, but it actually saves you money later on because you don't have to spend money on the paints and the canvases and the sketchbooks. I would choose what makes you most comfortable because you're going to learn better using tools you're more comfortable with.
Yeah.
I like that.
Perfect.
And
I'd say, like, if you have an opportunity to try both, do that, of
Try
course.
both, see what makes you comfortable. Yeah.
And we've talked a lot about jumping in between both as well.
yeah,
Like,
doing them
because-
simultaneously.
So right now I'm in the iPad phase, and I feel it feels wonky drawing on paper.
Yeah. Like I have a hard time drawing. I have so many sketchbooks that I want to fill up. Like when
Yeah.
you were doing your sketchbooks, I was like, oh, I wish I could do this.
Yeah,
But it's
same.
actually really hard for me to get back into traditional now because I've been drawing digital since I was like 7, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's what you're used to. It's what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And
Give
And
it
if
a
you're-
couple of weeks and
Yeah.
we'll be pure traditionalist.
Yeah,
again.
and like you're gonna click with one better than you're gonna click with the other. Like I noticed pencil and pens, like that's gonna be a lot of line drawing in your sketchbook. If you have pastels or paints, that's an entirely different way your mind works when you
Yeah.
put it down on paper. So for me, I don't even like to line art on the computer. I like to paint on the computer. But when I'm doing traditional work, I like to sketch and do line art.
Yeah.
So you got to try all these things. You got to find out what clicks for you, and then you'll get good at that because it's what comes naturally.
And I think also don't let your tools limit what like your drawing.
No.
Yeah.
Because I think
That's
that's
a good
where
point.
like a lot of beginner artists get stuck. They're like, oh, I don't have this pencil. Like,
Yeah,
here's
yeah.
another one. Use a cheap one.
That's why I said, like, don't wait till you get an
Yeah,
iPad or a tablet. Like,
exactly.
just draw anyway.
Yeah.
Or, like, study or something. Watch
exactly.
YouTube videos and then, like, try to do the same thing on paper if you
But
have
it's like
to.
when I was drawing with my kids' crayons, and people are like, oh, you can draw with those? I'm like, they're the
That's what
same.
they're
Yeah.
made
They're
for.
just, sure, they're crap.
And I know
but
a
it's
lot
still
of people,
same basics.
they want, like, the smooth lines that they see everyone
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
But then it's like, I actually like texture.
Mm-hmm.
I like, if you can do something cool with, like, wax crayons, then it's going to look so much more interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Definitely. But also because the market is kind of saturated with those clean lines
Mm-hmm.
nowadays, because more and more people are jumping ship and going the
Yeah.
iPad route because,
Yeah.
the iPad rocks now.
But I
so-
think it depends. Like, I think that a lot of beginners use the smoother sort of, and when you see like people in the
Oh,
industry,
yeah.
they're all like with the chunky sort of like
Yeah.
texture
actually
brushes
true.
and stuff. Like,
I always use chalk brushes when I
Yeah.
do my stuff. Even when I draw on the iPad,
Mm-hmm.
I like to use the sketchbook app because the pencil, the graphite, is actually like really rough and has so much texture
Mm-hmm.
to it.
Yeah, I used to only draw with Sketchbook and now jumped over to Procreate. But
Oh, yeah.
because they have that gritty texture as well. Like I really love the preset brushes in Procreate to me.
I'm making squinty eyes at you right now because you betrayed Sketchbook.
I would never use Sketchbook.
I didn't betray it. My Samsung tablet betrayed me. Okay.
I don't know what hot and draught is, but I love it.
Hot and rot.
How long did it take you to become a freelance artist, and what steps did you have to take to get there? Apart from the obviously just working hard on your skills. Excited for this episode. Smiley.
I've been doing freelance work since before I could
I was born.
officially do
Full
freelance work.
time.
Yeah. It's like, I think the first big project I had was when I was like 15 and my best friend's mom was like, can you paint a mural on my wall? And I did that and I think it's still up actually. So that's technically freelance work. But kind of like took it more seriously after I graduated and I got my degree. And then like, because again, going back to school, they kind of teach you business sense as well. So once I had that understanding, then I took my freelancing more seriously. So I guess I was always freelancing, but it's only in the past maybe 10 years or so that I've been able to do it successfully.
I would totally love to hear more about how you came into traveling so much and like discovering that side of your life. Because that's not everyone does that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you found a way of doing your art and like expressing your creativity in a different way than most other artists that I know.
So I've always wanted to travel. When I was growing up, I didn't get to travel a lot. Like, you'd be 15 or 16 and your friends had gone to Hawaii like 5 times already. Yeah. My family never did that. So I kind of had to take care of it myself. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, what's a great way to travel? Maybe travel for work, and then it's tax deductible, and then you get to do it as well. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I just made it happen. And I was seeing someone at the time who was kind of doing the same thing that I did. So I talked them into doing it with me. So everything was like half the cost.
Nice.
So that's how it started.
That's awesome. Because
Yeah.
I really admire that you travel around, like going to all the cons and stuff that you do.
What was the first trip you did then?
What was the first trip? I think I started really locally. Like, first it was the city I lived in. And then I think I made us fly out to Toronto, which was like, I'd never been to Toronto, and I had family there, because you have to understand, like, for those people who don't know Canada, like, I was in Calgary, which is like the
Totally
west
opposite
coast,
end,
yeah, and
yeah.
Toronto is like more the east coast.
And
So-
Canada is bigger than the U.S., right?
It's like a 5-hour flight to get from Calgary to Toronto. It's all the same country.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was so excited, and I got to meet my my relatives who I hadn't seen for like 15 years. We kind of made a big deal of it. It's like, oh, she's coming to Toronto. So yeah, that was the first trip I did.
Awesome.
So you were already famous going to Toronto.
Because my cousins live there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
She's coming. Let's pick her up from the airport and go for lunch.
I wanted to know a little bit more of just backstory.
Mm-hmm.
So you're from Calgary.
That's where I
Canada.
went to school, yeah, and
Yeah.
I lived there for 10 years.
What was your sort of gateway into the art world then? Like, was it just trying, you didn't really know what you wanted to do and then you jumped on to art school? Or like, when did the art start, I guess? Just
Well,
to
I
carry
think
on
like
the rhyming thing.
most people, like, it starts when you're little and
Yeah.
you're drawing, and your grandma's like, why do you draw women with boobs so big? And then you're like, oh.
You draw them bigger? Spite, motherfucker.
Yeah, I used to think I'd be a fashion designer because I loved drawing dresses when I was little.
Nice.
But
That's not what your grandma said. Yeah.
But yeah, so we had I'm from a small town, and I was always very supported by people around me who told me, like, oh, you're such a great artist. Like, kind of that mentality was like, you're the superstar artist in your small town. And they told me to go to art school, and I was like, yeah, there's nothing else I really am interested in doing, so you're right, I need to do that. And I figured if that doesn't work out and that fails, I could always go be a lawyer, because you need a degree before law to be a lawyer.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
you need 2 degrees to be a lawyer.
That is insanity.
So
How is that like a logical thing? Like,
Like, you need a
Jesus.
other degree of
most
some
people
sort.
do social sciences or something, but yeah,
Okay,
you can do an art degree.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Anyway, so that was the plan. So
Yep.
there's a step number 1, and if it works out, it works out. And so yeah, unfortunately, I didn't know much about the art school scene, so I kind of just went to the first place that was recommended to me.
Cool.
I mean, it was okay, but there was other places I could have gone that may have been even nicer.
But maybe that wouldn't have brought you to where you are today.
It
Maybe-
wouldn't have.
Yeah.
It's true,
Yeah.
because
So-
the reason that I got into what I'm doing is I started to see someone who had been doing a local anime convention, and so I got exposed to the Comic-Con scene, and then I kind of was excited by this, and I kind of like steered us in that direction. I was like, let's give this a try. And yeah, so that's how it started, with year 1 of university, doing that with an anime con, which I still go to this day, and
That is
I
awesome.
know the organizers, and they're all special people, and I really like them.
Do you always cosplay when you go?
I used to cosplay. I stopped because it's actually really, really, really annoying to be in costume when you're behind a table trying to, like, do stuff.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
Also, there was this one time in New York where I was dressed as Queen Elsa, and I would walk to the bathroom, and it took me like an hour to get to the
Yeah,
bathroom
yeah.
because little girls would be
Oh, yeah.
chasing me.
And you don't want to, like...
But that's on you.
Yeah, that's
why
why I
would you
don't-
choose
That's
something
why I
like
don't
that?
cosplay
Yeah,
anymore.
you choose something obscure that no
Exactly.
one knows.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's another thing is even to this day, people stop me and we're like, "You're Gwen Stacy, right? No, you're that Gwen Stacy from like
Oh,
a few
when-
years
even-
ago, right?"
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Because I won a Marvel cosplay contest as Gwen Stacy.
But that's what regarding cons, like, do you have people that come to the cons just to visit your booth and stuff? Like,
Yeah.
like recurring? 'Cause
Yeah.
you've been doing it for so long now.
Yeah, no, they're really cool. You get to know people on a personal level, and I'm really, really bad at names. So,
Yeah.
but I'm
you
good
gotta
at
watch.
faces. And it's good to see them come like every year. Be like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?"
And it was also awesome to sit with you and William
Yeah, that was really fun.
Puka.
Puker.
Puker, yeah.
Oh
that's
God, I
all
hope
of
he
it.
doesn't listen to this.
No, he never does.
He doesn't.
No.
He does not know what this. It was super fun sitting with you guys this year. Like, that was my first Comic Con as well. It was like awesome.
No, you made the energy good. It was great. Thank you for being there.
Basically this. What we do here.
This is what we do, right? So I would like to dive in a little bit more into your thought process. Yes, obviously.
Heard that.
I'm just
Is it snowing
just
in here?
like just like around your nose. Just like, what's up,
Yeah.
guys? What's this snow? Just
I would like to know the process of you coming up with the idea of the new fan art painting piece that you want to do, and pretty much what the process looks like from idea to finished piece, without going over like don't spoil anything or give away too many secrets.
Actually, yeah. A lot of people, they're like, so what's the next one you're working on? And I'm like, I don't want to tell you because it's kind of like a secret. And like, if I tell you, then you're going to expect me to do it.
Yeah,
but like, I might not finish it for like 3 months.
But you can talk about a piece that you are really, really happy with. That maybe one of the more popular ones. I don't know.
Yeah. Actually, I've kind of teased it on my Instagram already, but there was a piece done by Joseph William Turner of Castle Annick, and I kind of did a parody of it for Harry Potter because the Harry Potter movie series was filmed a lot of the times at Castle Annick. And I had been there with my best friend because she lives in the UK, and we did the whole tour, and I saw this painting, and I was like, wow, I know exactly what I'm going to do. So that's sometimes how the inspiration happens, is I'm at a gallery or a museum or a castle or something, and I see a painting, and I'm like, that would be a great idea. And I want the context to make sense. In this case, the context worked perfectly because it was Harry Potter as the castle that it was filmed at.
Awesome.
So yeah, things like that. Otherwise, I have a file on my Google Drive where I have a painting and I have an idea and I think about it, and I like to kind of like stew on it, see if it makes sense or not. So like the Howl's Moving Castle piece I did based on Gustav Klimt's piece.
I was going to bring that one up. But
Really
The
nice.
reason I
so
did
good.
that one, you can kind of like probably tell, but they're in a field of flowers. So a field of flowers, big thing in the film Howl's Moving Castle, because that's kind of like that romantic area that Howl brings Sophie to, and it's like, this is all yours, Sophie. Also, there's a kissing scene, which kind of like, I wanted to have like Monster Howl and like, Sophie, and yeah, I just thought it worked really well. And the big thing that I don't think a lot of people really get is Gustav Klimt worked with gold foil, and Howl as like, this like raven crow monster thing. He loved shiny things. Yes.
Yeah.
So you see that in his bedroom in the film, and so that's why I chose that particular piece. And I could have done him in the pink coat that he wears, but I really, really, really wanted to do the feathers. I thought the contrast would work better. That's something else I like to do, is not anything against the old masters. I don't think that like, it's easier to critique something when you're looking at it, but like there's some things I changed. Like I changed the orientation of the composition a little bit, where they're positioned, and I upped the contrast by making him the blackbird form. So just little things like that.
But I really like the thought you put into your pieces. You know what I mean? Like, and you let them stew. You give them time.
Yeah.
Because usually artists are like, oh, now I just want to finish it, and I'm guilty of this as well. Like, oh, shit, I'm so tired of this. I'm just gonna finish it.
Yeah.
Instead of letting it be, and then like revisit it in like a week or two or like a month. Like no matter. Like
really
having several projects ongoing.
that idea grow and
Exactly.
Well, part of that reason is because like if I'm just doing a piece on my own, like sure, I could blow through that pretty quickly. But if I really want to take my time and make it a worthwhile piece, especially because I'm trying to imitate the masters who are so good at what they do, I can't just spit that out. Like I need to spend so much time on that. Otherwise, I'm not going to feel proud of it, and I'm going to feel like it's like a cheap imitation or something. I want to value my work, so I spend lots of time on it.
Do you always paint digitally when you do the recreations, or have you ever tried actually doing, like using the same method as the original artist, like going into oils or maybe gouache or whatever it could
I would
be?
love to work in oils. I keep on telling people this. It's like I just don't have the space. Like you need your own room when you work with oils. You need ventilation.
Like this one? Like trying to get like dizzy and high and of your own paint.
That would be great. But yeah, so no, I haven't really. No, I kind of take it as part of the challenge, is if I can do what they did and try my best to do it in a digital fashion. Like the Monet Totoro piece that I did was extremely challenging because you try to get the texture of the Impressionist paint strokes. It's actually harder to do it digitally than it is to do it traditionally.
Right.
So it took a lot more time. I had to do, sometimes I'll use real paint and I'll take samples of brushes and then I'll kind of scan that in because I have like one of those really good scanners that
scans thing.
At really high DPI. J. Scott Campbell's recommendation. Thank you.
We've talked about him
Shout out J. Scott.
several times.
Yes.
He's awesome. And I saw that you
Thanks,
met
Jeff.
him on Comic-Con with William. Son of a beep.
I've known him for a few years now. In fact, it was like I felt like it was my job to like bring Will over and be like, say hi.
Oh my God, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
No.
that was awesome.
J. Scott's super, super nice and very encouraging. He's really good.
He's on my body forever.
You got a tattoo.
Yes, of
No,
course.
no, just kidding.
Actually, yeah, like this whole Gwen Stacy thing you brought up earlier, I don't know if I would be here today if it wasn't for the Gwen Stacy connection that people had with me, because I kind of made that my identity when I cosplayed, and it kind of made me more outgoing. So it made me go out to say like hi to J. Scott, made me go out to like say hi to some actors or like
Stan Lee.
yeah, all that.
So jealous.
So I know people say they're braver in a costume. I think that was kind of like a thing, and it kind of helped me feel braver as like a person, as an artist. So therefore, socialization is a big part of like, you know, the career aspect of what we do.
Yeah,
it
that's
was
good
really
that you bring
helpful.
that up. And that's actually a smart move. We haven't talked about that because we haven't.
Yes,
That's
we
not something
have.
we've realized. No, that you dress up.
Oh, shit.
you-
No,
you
not that
realize
aspect.
your,
Though. Okay, yeah, not that.
Like being a cosplayer and going to Comic-Con, like, yeah, use that, like, the gift you have of masking yourself, because
Yeah,
then...
be a bit more brave.
Exactly.
Say hi to people you wouldn't have talked to before.
Yeah, because
I did that a lot.
I flipped off a little infant kid when I was Deadpool, and I would never have done
and
that
we
without...
also you also held him under gunpoint and
Yeah.
like did
my
this
God.
like slitting his throat thing. So
Yeah.
that was weird.
Yeah.
A lot of things I'm proud of.
There's like, for me, I feel like if I'm in costume, then like all these wonderful, super talented artists that you've looked up to for so many years, they're all at these events. And if I was in costume, it was a way to break the ice, be like, hey, and it's like, oh my God, can I get your picture? Yeah, I just want to tell you I really like your work. Stuff like that just came a lot easier.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then I started doing it out of costume, and then it was, well, then it's more like, hey, I like your work. But it was a bit more awkward if you're not in costume. That's just because I'm an awkward person, though.
I think we're all awkward.
It depends. Yeah, I think so. Like sometimes
Or
with
Ilias
some
makes us feel
people-
awkward.
exactly with my awesomeness. Let me talk about myself for a while. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I but I actually like I really like this approach on like building up, because we've talked before about like doing small acts of bravery. You don't have to like go out and show your portfolio the first thing you do, you know, like if that's what you want, or selling your art at a con, but just taking like baby steps like cosplay, because in my experience at least, cosplayers are some of the nicest fucking people
Yeah.
that I've met. And it was like, I think a lot of the people that listen to the podcast and that we met at Comic-Con
Oh,
dressed
yeah.
as Spider-Man and Deadpool.
Spidey pool.
It's a way to
Spider-Man.
connect.
It is a way
Yeah,
to
it is.
connect.
It's a way to
So
connect.
but on the subject of like holding on to a piece forever and social media, you know, the pressure of posting or like, oh, the algorithm will forget about me, you know, all that stuff. How do you keep relevant? Now you have quite a big following, but how do you balance, you know, like mental health, art, and having to post on social to be visible?
So maybe I look at this a bit differently than other people do, but I actually view posting on social media to be a part of my mental health, and it helps to make it better. Reason being, remember I said I had like a dark past, blah, blah, blah. So I actually, several years ago, I went through this phase where I didn't like what I was doing. I didn't think anyone liked what I was doing. In fact, I thought maybe people only liked my work and were pretending to like it because maybe they thought I was pretty or something. It was a really dark time. So I stopped posting my artwork at all, and then I made an anonymous alias because I still needed an outlet. I still needed to show something, show someone. So I made an anonymous name, and then I started posting on there, and no one knew who I was. No one even knew what gender I was. No one knew how old I was. Yeah. So it's very freeing to just do that, and that's kind of what got me going, I guess, and all of the things that you just mentioned. Like it's the more you post, the more support you get, and like you don't feel judged if it's anonymous. And yeah, and eventually I kind of went viral, I guess. So I was like, maybe I should actually take ownership of my work. So then I started taking it more seriously, and I made an Instagram account and I connected it to my name and everything. But I still have that feeling from back then where it's like, you know what? Don't be scared to post, because fear is what holds you back. So don't be scared to post. Even if you don't like it, someone out there might like it.
Yeah.
Someone out there might learn something from it. And you know what? If you don't want to post that, that's fine. Put it in your stories. Like, it's temporary. Like, just engage with people. Show them that, like, you know, you're interested in the same things they're interested in. Like, you know, just enjoy, just do what you do. And don't be afraid to show people. Yeah.
Great
And
advice.
thank you for sharing that, because that seems to be something that affected you like a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And speaking to the public is not always like easy when it comes to stuff like that.
No.
That's why I'm glad I have this doofus, because there's tons of stuff. Like, for example, sketches that I've done. You know, you should post that. You should finish that, or you know, like that encouragement. Because there's like tons of sketches that I've done in my sketchbook that I'm just like, I'm not gonna do this one. And then he told me, like, no, dude, just, like, push through it and just do it.
Just do it, yeah.
And just do it. And then I did, and it's one of the most popular, ones.
I'm a genius.
Apparently, yes.
We're our own worst critics.
Yeah,
of
course.
100%.
Yeah.
But again, it goes back to that whole thing of keep pushing and becoming better, and you know, you're wanting to always strive to be better and evolve as an artist. You know, that's never gonna die off, I think. You might end up being sort of stuck in your element and doing similar things a lot, but I think that sort of fire or the chase of becoming better and always looking to other artists like Ilias or, you know, getting inspired constantly is what is the best thing about being an artist. And it's, you know, just having you here talking now, it's really getting me back into
same.
Like,
Yay.
It's so much fun.
I need to go home and fucking paint something.
And it's nice to not just ass pat each other. Like, hearing someone else's is like for example, art school.
Yeah.
We all have like different experiences. I didn't go to art school. You went to art school. Robert went to like 80% of an art school. You know, like we all have a couple of different ones. And no, but it's nice because there is, like, what we've been saying is that there isn't, like, it's not black and white. It's complicated, and we're all complicated to some extent. You know, like it's.
There's not like a written formula for anyone.
No.
Everybody's different, and
you
everybody.
kind of have to have your own. You have to find what works for you.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to go and try new things, because otherwise you might not know what works for you.
That's exactly.
I think that's what we said in the episode that we haven't posted yet.
Well then. I'm actually psychic.
Yeah, of course you are. So we don't actually have to post that episode. If you just repeat it in your words, so that episode will be like 5 minutes, and you'll probably get all of what we
I'll
said.
truncate everything.
Yeah,
perfect.
like,
I'll just go get a coffee.
yeah, exactly. We'll be back. You enjoy the podcast, and just wrap it up. No, but I really admire like your work and I think you have like a work ethic that is admirable when it comes to your work. Because when I see your work, and my wife just framed the one piece
Girl, the
you
pearl
gave.
earring.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
so good. And I'll show you the picture later. But I think like when I look at your work, you asked me for feedback on One Piece at Comic-Con.
Thank you for being honest with that, by the way. It's so hard to find honest feedback. Jesus.
You will always only get
Well, he
that.
doesn't have a filter.
So.
Those are the type of people you want critiquing your work, is
That's
people who
it.
don't have a filter.
Yeah.
Did you get that in school? Did you guys have like a special class to give feedback?
No, every single class when we had a project, we would give feedback as a group.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
good. Because we had like a specific class. Obviously, it was made to create stuff, but it was very focused on,
How to
okay,
critique.
now you need to say like 1 positive and 3 negatives. Like you need to bring out something, but how, and then how do you say a negative in a good way, like without discouraging the person being critiqued, and you know, all of that stuff. Which again, this is something we've been talking about a lot. That people can't really give or take feedback nowadays.
Yep.
Like you get mad for anything that's sort of remotely close to a critique. Like, and I don't know.
My thing is I try not to give critiques unless people ask for them because
Same.
they
Yeah.
could be extremely, they could be very sensitive about that.
Yeah.
And
Of course.
you don't want to critique something and say, it could maybe be better if you did this because maybe they're not ready for that.
No.
Yeah.
And you
But-
can come off as a fucking asshole.
Exactly. But yeah, you were saying something about.
Yeah, I don't remember. Fuck it. This is how the podcast works. It's
Yes.
fine. On the subject of like giving criticism or feedback or whatever you want to call it, what is your sort of like take on it? Because I try to like tell people like when I'm giving critique, I'm not attacking your person or your. I'm trying to give you advice to make
Yeah.
your work stand out more. You know, like to become better.
Some people do actually not know how to receive or give critiques
Yeah, yeah.
because they haven't. The thing is that they can tell you what they do or don't like.
Mm-hmm.
They can't necessarily tell you how to make it better,
Yeah.
or they will tell you something is just bad, and they're not gonna that's just discouraging.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's all fuck.
discouraging. That is garbage.
So I think it's really important. Like, you were mentioning, like, carry over the colors from one area to another.
Yeah.
That's all like theory, and that's like, reflecting that you have like a art education background, or like, you've put through practice and you know what you're talking about. So I like to have two different types of groups that I ask for help with. And I always, always, always ask for critiques from my friends and just random people sometimes. My mom or my brother, I'll ask them what they like or don't like about something, or I'll give them an option. I'll be like, option A or option B, which one is better? And I'll let them choose. They are not educated in art. They don't have the kind of like the thought process,
Yeah.
like analytical thought process when it comes to like, oh yes, carry that color over here.
Mm-hmm.
They'll just tell me what works and what doesn't work. And you can trust that because it's their honest, unbiased opinion.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And then I'll ask people who are also artists, and then they can tell me the technical aspects, well, what's working and what's not working. And then I kind of combine both critiques, and I would be like, yeah, okay. So, and that's the great thing about if you don't have like artist friends that like, like I have artist friends. We don't hang out in each other's living rooms drawing together.
No.
But if you work in a studio, or if you like go to school and have classmates, like you can kind of peek in on people's workflow and be like, don't be afraid to ask, like, how do you do that? Like I did that. There was lots of great artists in my classroom, and I would just walk over and be like, can you show me how you did this? And yeah, they would like break down their layers. They would show you the adjustments they do. Yeah, it's important.
And also one thing that you said about art school, when you're like young and you go to school and you do art and you're the superstar, and then you go to art school and everyone's better. That's how the work environment is as well.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I wanted
yeah.
to pitch in. Because when I got to like whatever company, it's always been that. Like everyone has like more knowledge. They know more software. They can paint better than you. They can animate better than you. They can I'm just like, how can they be better at all the things? But it's like that Instagram thing where everyone is the one person doing all the art, sort of like that. I'm getting that feeling sometimes on Instagram. It feels like every artist just like creating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's more of the cluster of work that you see rather than the one artist that creates all of it. It's just like, I don't know. And it feels like that at work as well. Like everyone does all the cool things, but it's like several people's work.
So, yeah, let's move on a bit. If this is a random question, but if you weren't drawing today, what would you be doing, do you think? Do you have anything that sort of is your backup thing that you would love to be doing if all of this just sort of, you woke up tomorrow and you're like, fuck, no, I don't want to draw anything ever again. Do you have any sort of backup job or something that you're super into that you would love to do?
I'm really into writing. I would probably be a writer, but I know that's like really hard to do as well. Like I'm one of those people who has like 3 different books on my computer hard drive that I've never quite finished. Actually, I have this dream where I'd like to open up a cafe one day.
Oh, yeah.
I've had that as well, like
Yeah.
a drawing cafe.
Yeah.
We've
But
been
then
talking about that too.
But then thinking about like all the bullshit you have to do to make it run, I was like,
See, that's the thing is
You
like
you shouldn't think about
you
that.
do the logistics and then you just hire people to work
oh
there.
yeah, of
Yeah,
course,
exactly.
of course.
But actually, yeah. Last night I had like this get together at my place, and I was like, "Oh, Andrea, you should open up like a bakery. You're so like, this is like your thing." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. Yeah, you should come in 10 years when I have it."
already on that.
Yeah.
Yo,
Exactly.
got a list. Okay, so Velusar Daniel is asking something.
Who
Hey
cares?
Dan, I don't give a fuck what you're wanting to know.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
How
You didn't come to my party, bitch.
You son of
Yeah,
a
fuck
bitch.
you, fuck you,
Yeah,
Dan.
fuck you, man.
Says the boys who weren't there.
Shh. I'll ruin it, bro. Okay, how is living the life of an artist constantly traveling for such long periods of time or periods of the year?
It's really stressful, actually. I really enjoy it, and I always take time to, have some personal time in the places that I go to visit. Like, I have this thing where I like to learn something new or do something creative in every single place I visit. So, for example, in Belgium, I learned how to make chocolate. In Vienna, I learned how to make a Viennese schnitzel and a strudel.
That is awesome. I love this approach.
In Berlin, I did songwriting in a studio with someone. So
Can you sing the song? No, just
no.
kidding. No pressure, but can you sing the whole song?
So it gets more manageable if you have something like that to kind of like propel you and kind of motivate you. It can be really exhausting, but it is really nice talking to all these people from around the world.
When you go to a new country, for example, do you set up like to meet someone that knows the landscape, like where everything is, so you can, like, since you're not there for a long period of time, it might be nice to have like someone to like guide you through like the best stuff that you want, like if you want specific stuff.
Luckily, since I go to these events, a lot of people who come up to me, they're more than willing to like share their advice with me. So actually, a lot of the stuff that I've done has been recommended to me by either fans or followers or like just people who happen to talk to me. It's not hard. I don't need a guide or anything. I like to do things on my own, for the most part.
So would I.
But yeah.
But yeah.
So inspiring.
And since I want to dive into freelancing a bit, how do you like split up your work? Because the thing is, if you're just doing the one thing, sometimes it's hard to make like rent and stuff. If you're just doing like, I just do commissions, and then you don't get commissions. Like, how do you spread your, like, you do some commissions, you do some, like, you do cons, you do like, how do you plan like your income venues or something like that? Like, how do?
Well, the thing about what I do is it's not guaranteed income ever. Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is like, don't ever go out on a limb if you don't have enough. Like, that rule,
Limbs? No.
Yeah. The rule where it's like, have at least 3 months rent saved up.
Oh, yeah. That's going to happen.
Something like that.
That's going to happen.
The what rule? Is that a thing?
So, sometimes I take risks and I do events that, like, I don't know how it's going to be.
Fucking French people. I get something on my throat.
Always blaming the French.
But, so usually conventions, going to events or seminars, and then maybe I'll get some, it's always like fingers crossed, like maybe I'll get like a big contract from those events or something, like maybe someone in the publishing industry will commission me, or like, maybe someone wants to hire me for a game or a book or whatever. It's all kind of like touch and go, really. It's all touch and go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like that. Like, you open yourself to luck. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's why I find it's really important to be like an open person, because if you're not open, then like nothing is going to come your way. Yeah. You have to give out energy to get in that same energy.
Yeah. It's always the give and take.
Yeah.
And like we talked about on one of these episodes, like the freelancing something, just be at events. Like, they don't have to be specific.
Yeah,
be
yourself out
visible.
there.
Be visible. So that's another thing, though, is like when I travel and I go to events and Comic-Cons and everything, like it is part of my business. So it is a tax deductible thing. And hopefully I'll make contacts along the way as well. Yeah.
And I think also that, like, some people were like, oh, well, there's so many, like, especially at maybe like San Diego Comic-Con, like the big Comic-Cons, New York, there's a lot of like great artists, you know, like and famous artists and stuff, and people get a bit intimidated. But sometimes it's not about being the best; it's about being at hand. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten work where I was like, oh, there are so many people I know that could do this blindfolded and better,
Well,
but I was there.
yeah.
I'm
So
gonna do it.
I'm sure you guys know about John Romita Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's, bless him, he has a huge repertoire. He's very reliable in the industry. He's not exactly the best artist, but he's reliable as fuck.
Yeah.
And this is, I don't know him personally, so
No,
this
no,
is just
we
like,
get it.
yeah, this is what everyone knows in the industry. Is the reason he gets so much work and the reason he's so successful is not because of his dad or anything. It's because he is reliable as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that carries like a long way, because we've hired people that are so good at what they do that they're impossible to work with. And that's never a good thing, because we need to work as teams, you know. And if one person is sort of ruining that whole team spirit thing,
It's the weakest link.
it's the weakest thing. Yeah. So the best person suddenly becomes sort of the cog, or like the, you know, like the shit in the engine. I don't know what to call it. But, and he breaks the whole thing, like the dynamic of the team. That's never a good thing. You want someone that can come in, be at a level that is, you know, like that you can use in production, basically.
Yeah.
And be reliable, to show up, you know, to do the work, to have the team dynamic thing going.
Yeah.
Like-
Because you can be a freaking flippin' fantastic artist,
Yeah.
but if you don't make your
fucking-
deadlines,
That's what you meant.
you can be a heckin' great artist. But if you don't make your deadlines, or if you like are not easy to work with, like that's all part of the job. Is you have to make that work. You have to be making those deadlines. You have to be easy to talk to. You have to connect easily.
Yeah.
And also, if you're being an ass, that spreads as well.
Yeah,
exactly.
people talk.
Yeah, people
the
talk
industry
a
is way
lot.
smaller than
Yeah.
you think it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is.
I'm sorry, all artists out there, but when it comes to business, a lot of you are stupid. And I'm saying this from being stupid and learning
Exactly.
through mistakes. And the thing is, when you work at a company, you usually have like the backbone of the company already set, and you just sort of hit your feet running, you know, and you just like come in and everything is set up for you. But when doing freelance and having your own business, you think it's just drawing. You know what I mean? Like, how do you like discipline yourself to do the work in time, like keep deadlines, like reply to clients, you know? And do you have like contracts that you send out to clients when they don't send you a contract, you know? Because usually they have a contract that is, ugh.
Yeah. So here's the thing. First, I'll answer the contract thing because I'm
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
derail a bit. I
Yeah,
know
no
I
worries.
will. So if they don't send you a contract,
Mm-hmm.
always have a contract handy. If you don't have one written up, ask a friend for theirs, or check online, grab one
Mm-hmm.
from the internet. They're free, whatever. Or just have like a little thing that says like, you pay me this amount of money. If you want any revisions, it's going to be this much money after like the second one or something.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Thumbnails, you only get so many thumbnails.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if you don't have that written down, they're going to take advantage of you. So yeah, contracts are important. I actually like it when they have a contract, because I always feel like I'm going to leave something out of mine.
But I'm also worried when they send me a contract and I
Yeah.
don't understand it. I don't have
Oh, if
my
you don't
legal
understand
buddy.
it, you
Yeah.
ask for clarification.
I know,
Yeah.
but I'm a bit worried about how
Yeah.
much they explain it.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
like we said this, but we didn't tell
Yeah,
them
exactly.
Yeah.
this part,
Exactly.
like-
How
Is-
am I being fucked right now?
exactly.
I know it's
Sideways?
happening.
Okay, what position am I being fucked in right now? Like reading this because you don't understand.
Is there protection involved? But yeah, so contracts, I've only very rarely worked without contracts, and it's only if I like kind of trust that person
Yeah.
on a personal level.
I have those clients as well. Like
Yeah.
they're fine.
But other than that, what was the other aspect of that question?
No,
I'd
I'm
get
just thinking
derailed.
like a lot of people just think that they can start being an illustrator and then everything will get sorted, you know. But you need this, like what you said about revisions. Like all this stuff is something that you need to set up, you know, like to be
and
aware of.
You can't like devalue your work either. Like you
No.
have to charge for those things. It doesn't come free.
Exactly.
Your time is valuable. If you worked by the hour, that's another thing, is you can charge clients an hourly rate, or you could charge them a flat rate.
Yeah.
And in order for you to give a a decent flat rate. You have to know about how long it'll take you to do something. So yeah, just you have to be aware of yourself and your art and how long things take you, and maybe how familiar you are with something. There's times where people ask me to do a logo, and like I took graphic design in school. I'm not a graphic designer.
No.
So if someone asks me to do a logo, I'm going to tell them, okay, it'll cost you like so much more than it would to hire that guy, because he actually is he knows what he's doing. It'll take me way longer, so it's going to cost you a lot more money.
Yeah.
And they don't really understand that, but I try to get it through to them as best as I can.
But I think it's up to us as well to educate them and how it is to, because I think a lot of people get frustrated and they just stick with that. But you need to think of it as a business, and when they don't understand, it's our job to make them understand, because they won't know how it is to order art from an artist,
Yeah,
exactly.
It's not something that everyone's familiar with.
No.
Even me, I would have questions if I was asking an artist for something. But yeah, so like I'm just thinking of like the younger artists I know, and like maybe they're getting a bit frustrated with the industry. Like, they don't know how to get started. They think that like, drawing is enough. The thing is, like what I said about reliability, like make sure you're there, make sure you are contacting these people, you're reaching out, you have a portfolio. But if you're making a portfolio, you 100% don't make that portfolio on your own. You ask people in the industry to look at that portfolio, and they will tell you like, you don't need this, you don't need this. Maybe instead of this, do 3 more of this. So don't just make some random portfolio. Like that's how you get into college. That's like kid shit. Like you need to make an actual portfolio. You need to get your portfolio critiqued.
Yeah.
And actually making a portfolio up to the standards of the industry is also going to teach you a bit about like, like how to interact and how to do, and
And I think also if you know people in the industry, or just contact people that you see work at Blizzard and ask kindly, like depending on like whatever company you want to work with. Because I had interviews and portfolio reviews at King, for example. So a lot of people, and we've had the episode that we've had, about portfolios. And people do reach out, and sometimes I'm just like, what is the portfolio about? Like you're sending me
have a goal for your portfolio.
That's what I'm saying. Like adapt. Like if you want to apply for 3 different jobs, you're gonna need 3 different portfolios.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And this is why I'm saying like don't make it on your own, because you're gonna think, oh, this is my best work. I'm gonna show them my best work. Well, if you're applying to be like a GUI designer or something, like you need to show a particular thing. If you're applying to be a character designer, that's a particular thing. Lighting designer, particular thing. Like, just because you're creative and you can create and you're capable doesn't mean that your work is going to show your capabilities.
It's not. And also, it's not going to show that specific thing that they want.
It's a very niche requirement.
Yeah.
And you need to show that you not only are capable of it, but you're going to kick ass at it.
Yeah.
Exactly that, because there are a lot of applicants. And if, like, for example, when I looked at portfolios and I see that people are wasting my time, you just discard the whole thing, because there is no time to look at your like shitty put together portfolio.
Yeah, here's a question for you. What do you think about portfolios? Like, should they just be images with like little subtitles about what you're looking at, or should you have text involved explaining shit?
I think depending on context, because sometimes it's a lot of people's work in one thing, then I would like to know what part is your work. Because that is always like...
if it's like a collaboration thing, you need to say what you did.
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel sometimes they just post like a trailer. I'm like, you did not do that on your own. Like you did not put that whole thing together. Because then I can't... Like, what am I supposed to do with that information? Because then I look at your stuff below, like in images, and it's nowhere near that stuff.
Yeah.
And that throws me off. I don't mind text, but I don't need the whole backstory.
Yeah, like don't tell them like,
stuff.
the world history for that thing you made.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, this is the story for this game. This is the just keep it to, like I would say, add as much text as like that brings value to what I'm looking at. Otherwise, just skip it. Like I need to know like 2D platformer game.
Yeah.
Or like level design for this or that, I can put it into context. If it is a specific background, let's use Monument Valley. If you show me that, like it's hard to, like if you've played Monument Valley, it's a game where you can sort of like, it's a puzzle game basically.
Okay.
And if you would have explained that, like, oh, it's this type of game that does this and that, then I'm like, I understand the context that it's being used at. I can maybe look it up if it's an existing project out there. So that stuff helps. If I need like more info on my part, like, oh, what does this mean? And then I look it up. But usually I don't need a lot. I just need, usually you can show your workflow, like how you came up with a character. So if you show me a few loose sketches and then how you took like the one design and made it into a complete design. So I can see like, okay, this person had like these ideas and then took like 3 and 4 and made it into, you know, the final thing. Like, I like that.
You can like visually tell what's happening. You shouldn't have to read about it.
You shouldn't have to read about it. Yeah. But I guess that's like different for everyone. I've heard so many versions, but I try to not get blinded by resumes and just see if the
product.
Depending on the role you're sort of
value.
hiring for, I would say, like, will predict, like, put the, what do you say? Like depending
See, when
on
he gets asked questions, then
This is what happens.
sorry.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, I just want to, like, if it's a junior position, I look for potential, you know. If it's a
Where can
game
they
artist
grow?
position, I can still look for potential, but I also need to know that they can actually pull some weight,
Yeah.
you know. And then if it's a senior thing, you're looking for different things. It might be, like, I look for, like, skilled artists, but I also want to see, you know, that they can, like, have a project that they can sort of lead on their own and stuff like that.
You know what occurred to me, like, only the past year or so? Like, when people say in job offers that they're looking for problem-solving skills, back when I was younger, I used to look at that and be like, I can problem solve? What the fucking kind of requirement is that? But then I started to realize, like, they're not asking you if you can, like, you know, answer a question and you, like, you know, do 2 + 2 or something.
Oh, I was thinking the exact same thing. It's not a math thing.
They want to know that if you have and this is a common thing in job applicant things, they want to know that if you need to get something done and you don't have the tools or maybe you don't have the skill to do it, you can develop that and pull it off anyway. Yeah. And that's like a really big thing.
Yeah. And I think, like, working in the industry, it's also about being able to find someone. Like, the problem, how you solve the problem doesn't really matter if you do it yourself. You have someone else do it. You find a person that you, like, you contract to fix it.
Yeah.
Like, probably they love if you save money when solving the problem. But it's basically just taking ownership and solving it.
Yeah, like
no matter
a big
how you're
thing I
solving
have in my head these days is like, it doesn't matter, like, you know, you just get it done. Just get it done. Get her done. Get her done.
It.
Yeah, and that's it.
And if you don't, like, if you manage to fuck this up, this is another important one. When you fuck up, ownership, learning and developing is something that is so appreciated. Because when you own up to it, like, oh, yeah, I totally dropped the ball on this. I should have done more of this and that and this. And you show them that
you understand what you did wrong.
You own up to it.
I'm sorry, Mom.
No, but you don't know how many people I've worked with that deflect. But I'm just saying that we don't focus on who did what, because when you're like a tight-knit team, you feel it yourself, and you usually don't make that same mistake twice, because you feel like shit, you know, like, especially if I know that someone's got to spend hours to fix my shit. And usually you just learn from that, you know.
Here's another question for you, Elias.
God damn it. Please
No.
I'll keep it short.
Oh my God, I'm going to have to edit so much.
You're going to edit that out, that's for sure.
Everything that he answers, I'm just like, snip.
So, like,
Yes.
artists and, like, time management. So, like, it's important to have a social life. It's important to go out,
No, it's
interact with.
No.
Okay.
No.
You could live in a hole. We could stay in here.
Youngie.
Social lives, kind of connect with the outside world. The whole thing where you expose yourself to things in order to, like, get your visual library out there. Or even, like, interacting with other artists and everything. But when you're a freelance artist or just an artist in general, you always feel pressured for time. Like me, I always get anxiety. Like when you asked before about, like, clients and like, you know, sending off proofs and, like, approvals and contracts, I always have the biggest anxiety when I send things off to get approved. And it almost like makes me turn into a turtle. And I have to remind myself, like, okay, no, get this shit done and then like go out and do something. Go to a cafe, draw in a cafe, hang out with a friend, whatever. What's your view on like, you know, time management and fitting socialization in there?
I would say, like, when it comes to having work, I also struggled with having work. While I'm doing work, I can't meet anyone. I have to be at my computer, you know, like even if my computer is portable, I just like stick to it wherever I'm working, you know, like my office, like wherever I am at the moment. Like it's easy to just like wait by your computer. But I also have like in my contract, if I would write one, because I haven't used one in ages now, but you should have a part in your contract that says if the feedback, like you should protect yourself from like clients that aren't replying on time, that are
like shouldn't be waiting around.
You shouldn't be waiting, because if you're waiting and then let's say your deadline is on Friday, you get the reply on Thursday and you sent it off on Monday. Like you shouldn't have to wait those like 4 days to get that reply.
Yeah, because you're basically making yourself available
all around the clock, and you shouldn't. So I think it's important to protect yourself in your contract. That's why you should have one. So even if they have one, they should like add that shit in their contract. You know, like if they want to work with you,
they have to reply within 2 business days.
I think so. Like depending on the deadline. I even have like, oh, you want it on Friday and it's Monday? Yeah. I'm going to charge you extra, like a lot more extra. Just because the deadline, it's not going to be great for me because I have work and I have kids and I have to make everything work around this.
Your life suffers because you have to fit all this in.
To fit all that in.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it's important to like protect yourself with your contract and plan for this so you can go out with your friends and feel calm. Like I've done my part.
I think it's all part of the mental health. Like that's why I asked.
It is.
You were, I don't know, someone brought up mental health as an artist and social media and everything. I think it's very important to like go out and kind of like do something else to keep your mental health stable.
And I think that's the same thing like if we talk about freelance work or if you talk about social media, I say only post if you can be available for the closest like 20, 30 minutes so you can reply because that's how you build a following. Yeah. But after that time has gone, don't sit by your phone waiting for a like, for a comment. Yeah. Fuck all of it. Just go out and do something else.
That's my rule too, actually. Mine's not 20, mine is an hour.
Mine an hour as well. I try to plan, like it's less than an hour usually because I'm on the train. But when I post, I try to post like just before I go on the train and then I have like 40 minutes almost to mash that and then I'll like be active.
For me, I'll usually do it as soon as I sit down in a cafe and then I'll be drawing while I'm, you know, keeping up with that. So it's fine.
I think that's fine. Like however you choose to do it, but I feel that a lot of people are like, oh, I don't have time.
Make time. You make time. That's part of being an artist and freelancing is you're always going to be out of time. You're always going to say you're running out of time. You make time. That is
I think everyone says that. And I was saying this before I had kids and a podcast and a freelance job, you know, and a like
But
40
you make
hour,
time.
You make time,
The reason you couldn't come out yesterday is because of family thing. But you made time for that family thing. And I think that's really important. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Sorry. Not bringing in personal shit, but yeah.
No. I talk about personal shit all the time. It's fine. I think it's important to talk about that.
I think it's something that people don't really realize as an artist, and they think they have to, like, you know, draw. But no, baby, no.
No. And the thing is, when you, like, sit and draw all the time, inspiration and new ideas.
That's how you dry out.
Exactly that. Like, you run out of shit to draw, and you're repeating the same thing over and over, you know.
That's what they call insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and just getting different results.
But definitely.
Switch things up.
And if your only reference to new stuff is Instagram, it's going to get boring fast.
Ooh,
you're going to be drawing the same thing as, like, I call it the incest of ArtStation, pretty much.
I call that the DeviantArt era.
But that's pretty much it. Like, you get inspired. I'm not saying that it's wrong to get inspired by other artists. That's what we do as well. Yeah. But it can't be your sole like inspiration. Just like looking, because when we're looking at Instagram or ArtStation, it's like people getting influenced by each other. Yeah. And basically you're looking at the same art by different artists.
And another thing is that the things that you see posted, like, that's basically getting inspired by perfectionism. Like, don't let that influence you so much. Like, go out in the real world, get inspired by imperfection. Imperfection is what makes stuff great.
Exactly. Yeah, and we've talked about this multiple
Yeah,
times. And you mentioned it and going to a cafe to draw, but even like hitting up a museum, an art museum, and exhibit, anything, a car show, a Comic-Con, anything that just takes you out of your little bubble for a minute.
I think that
it's
is
just
good.
gonna enrich your brain with so much new fuel that you're gonna be so thankful that you just took that little bit of extra energy to step outside for a bit.
Totally.
And
I mean, you have to.
And we talked about like finding reference that isn't the first 10 images on Google
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
like the Pinterest stuff, the 10, because we all have like the same reference on Pinterest, like
Yeah.
in one combination or another. But
I just
like,
subscribe to your
exactly. But I'm
steal
just
your
thinking, for
references.
example, like if you want to draw characters one day, but you don't want to like get influenced by all the other artists out there, I'm thinking like sometimes when you're outside and you look at like a doorknob and it looks like a face, and then you look at this like dispenser machine and it looks like a sad robot, like make characters out of that shit.
Or like,
what I mean?
the stucco ceilings, and when you were a kid, you'd look up and you see shapes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, something like that.
Or clouds, like all that stuff. Yeah, just like
No. In clouds, those are real.
no. Okay, so
No,
never
no,
mind,
no,
you know.
That's real.
Okay, yeah, but I'm just saying that if you look for inspiration, or like look where not everyone else is looking, basically. Like if everyone's looking right, look left.
Yeah.
Just to find something else, and I think that'll influence your work way more than like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool thing.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a book I was talking to my friend about this weekend. It's
You're into books right now.
I am.
Have you read any of them?
I'm also actually writing a book, so that's why. But no, there's a book called 99 Ways to Tell a Story, which is exactly what it sounds like. But it is more of a graphic novel, comic book inspiration type. But it also works with writing or any type of storytelling media, really. But so the premise is you have the one story with, the speech bubbles say this, this, and this, but then it's up to you to set the scene, and it could be whatever you sort of could dream up. And it's such a cool concept, just having, this one sort of, I think it's 3 spoken lines in the whole strip, and it could be multiple pages or just 3 panels. I don't know.
Teaches you the importance of context.
Exactly. And how amazing it is that you have 99 different stories.
99 pounds on a bitch and
one.
one.
That's also what I was thinking. It's just
But it's all based off of the same story.
Linkin Park.
Unfortunately, I don't
shit,
remember
Jay-Z.
who wrote the book or
failed.
anything. But yeah.
that
a
sounds
little
awesome,
a little
actually.
tip for you guys. And I wanted to do something with that in the future.
Like for like personal work? Or
no, for
the podcast?
us. Yeah.
Oh.
To do like a Sketchbook Hero version of that at some point in time.
Send me a link on, or because I'll forget.
I'm
more likely
gonna-
then.
So why we talked about it was because we couldn't find the book. We went looking for it at the sci-fi bookstore.
Okay.
Good
So-
bookstore.
Yes.
Otherwise,
I bought so
Adlibris
much
has
other stupid shit.
Tons of shit, fairly cheap,
Yeah, Amazon.
or Amazon. But Adlibris you get it like in a couple days.
Or
Yeah.
if you're in Stockholm, the sci-fi bookstore in Gamla stan.
Exactly.
Stand.
It's my second home.
It used to
My
be
first one is
second home.
Huckleberry. I have no home. But yeah, no, just sorry, wanted to derail and do a
I like it.
little thing, as always.
I just want to save you crawling in my skin.
Skin.
There we go.
Because of the Linkin Park.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Had
I was
to
like,
save
Linkin
you.
Park. And I'm like, oh no, it's really not.
These wounds will never heal. I'm sorry, man. Edit that shit out.
We won't edit shit. You just keep all the mistakes.
Yeah. let's
It's
just do that.
imperfection.
But on the subject of Linkin Park, also,
Speaking
like,
of.
no. But we're very open.
Moving
with-
on.
Like, usually we talk about, like, we try to talk about rates openly. But the thing is, working in
Spice of
different. No.
rates.
Yes.
No. But
We tried to talk about rapes.
rapes. Oh my God, was that what you heard?
Yes.
That's just not what we talked about openly.
No, but it's
We
good
just
that you
skip
can
it.
talk about these things, really. You know, you
Yeah.
shouldn't really. Yes.
That's how some jobs.
Talk to someone if you feel you need to talk.
Yeah.
In
Oh
all
my God, you
seriousness,
just
please.
threw me off.
Yes, do that.
I just don't
It's
want
so
him to talk
fucking
about
hard.
Linkin Park. I'm doing so hard right now.
Keep derailing. Come on, what else can we say?
Everything you say to me. No, just kidding.
This is why I win games of Risk. I'm in your head.
What are you talking about? No.
Shut up!
I went Wedding Crashers and Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
It worked though in the song. It's very good. Wedding Crashers. I still love that movie.
So good. Yeah, no, it's horrible. Oh my god.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah, it might be.
It's
But yeah.
timeless classic. Yeah.
But without going into, because I've noticed that my rates don't apply to all countries because Sweden pays quite well if you ask for it.
You can make Sweden pay well.
You can make Sweden pay. No, but I think you can get like a nice amount of cash for your work depending on how it's going to be used.
Yeah.
Whereas working with big, IPs in the US, they have their contracts, their set fees,
Yeah.
and I feel that a lot of times you get to do a lot more. Like you have to put in more hours for less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I totally get that if you work on someone else's IP. But what would you say is like a good way to set prices? Because I always encourage artists in a community, if not online, to talk about their pricings with each other, so they can like to keep keep the lowest. Like,
I'm
yeah.
not gonna lie. It's
Yeah.
kind of like a popular thing among some of my artist friends and I. It's don't be ashamed to ask them what their budget is.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they could have a huge budget, but they could be like lowballing you.
Yeah, of course.
Like if it's a big IP, if it's like a big commercial property, ask them what their budget is. If you don't want to ask them their budget, then just give them the honest thing of how much you would ask, and don't worry if you think it's too high. Like just
or
ask
if they
for
think
it.
it's too high, it's not your problem,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. Like I have an artist right now, and she always thinks like people think that she's charging too much, but I'm like, no, that's just not the person for you. Someone will eventually
exactly.
come by who will pay what you
value
are worth.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So good that you're saying this.
Yeah.
Because I saw an artist now on Instagram that was like, oh, I'm open for commissions. And I think she took like for a bust, it was like $200 or $250. And I was like, I shared it on my story, and I was like, oh, like she's open for commissions. Make sure you get one.
Yeah.
And someone wrote to me like, oh, 2,000 crowns, like blah, blah, blah. I was like, that's not a lot of money for someone, because they're probably going to spend, I charge,
something.
that is 2 hours work for
Yeah.
me, not even.
No.
And,
Yeah.
that's not a lot of money for someone's time and skill. But I totally understand that, like a normal person, working person, doesn't want to pay a lot of money for art. That's fine. But then maybe you shouldn't bother that artist with with your economy. Because that's why I've chosen, like, personally, I don't work with private commissions. I only work with companies. Because I find it that this whole, like, no one gets upset, and I always get paid so that I can pay rent and also, live comfortably enough.
I kind of do the same thing. Like sometimes I'll take private commissions, but it's way less common.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep it professional.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Noise. And people shouldn't be upset with pricing in general, I think. Like, people keep focusing in on money all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, like, in the tattoo world, that's the biggest thing ever. Like, people, you can almost hear people coming into a place because they know it's the cheap place to go, not
Like,
because they want...
Pay for quality. You pay for quality.
That's what you should be paying
Yeah.
for. If you want an artist's painting, how are you even questioning how much money that artist is, like, wanting to sell his piece for?
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be arguing about this at all. And I remember the other Andrea talking about this.
Shit, yeah.
And it's like, you don't argue with Pressbyrån or 7-Eleven or any type of shop with the product you're buying from that shop.
Yep.
The Coke can is $30 or 30 crowns or whatever it is now. You grab it, you buy it, you go because you want that Coke.
Yeah.
At that moment in time.
Exactly.
At that place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, maybe 10 years ago, that Coke can was 20 crowns and not 30.
But that's
you know?
not their
but
problem.
No.
Or maybe tomorrow it's going to be 25
Exactly.
crowns instead of
Yeah.
30.
Yeah, or you go to the Lifts, which is like right next door, and they're selling it
Like the
out
grocery
for,
store, and buy it cheaper.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that grocery store isn't where you are at that moment.
Yeah.
So
No.
if you want that Coke, you pay the price. That's
Exactly.
It's offered at.
Everybody,
definitely.
you get the point, and this
Yeah.
is what I think we should be really getting out there more and more and more
Mhm.
to just help every up and coming or even established artist out there that is sort of having that problem. And I assume 80% of all artists are having that problem, probably more. You know, even the super established artists, I'm sure they hassle or get haggled all the time with.
Yeah.
You know.
Or there's some established artists that still undervalue their work and they sell it
Yes.
for less than they should.
I think
Yeah,
that's
that is a common one.
probably
as well.
even a worse thing.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm always blown away when I go to Comic-Con and I pick up like a print from one of the comic book illustrators that I've been like just, you know, geeking out over my entire life. And then I get a print for $30
Yeah, that's
signed.
I just want to clarify for any listeners, it's
insane.
not about like, you know, oh, artists can make more money. It's more
No, it's
about like
not.
our time, and
Exactly.
Yeah.
it's actually a big problem with the artists
Mm-hmm.
community. Like people, it kind of brings down the whole industry because people undercharge,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then it kind of devalues the work, and your time and effort is worth way more than that.
100%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And not all, like when you're at a Comic-Con, there's no guarantee of sales. So if you sell everything super cheap, it'll probably, you won't cover your like printing costs.
Yep.
You won't,
Table
like,
cost,
table
printing
cost,
Yeah.
travel costs, more like
Food.
your
I was just gonna
food,
say, yeah.
like
That water
it's
ain't
3
cheap.
and
Yeah.
it's 3
Thanks,
days.
Robert.
Yeah. Yeah, never got a thanks. No.
Yes, I
and so,
did.
no, I'm just kidding. And also, like, you're gonna like you need to sleep somewhere. You know, like you
Oh,
have
yeah,
to sleep
like-
on your table,
Sleeping, yes.
and depending like how close to the venue you are, and
Yeah.
when like if you did like a last minute booking because of like you weren't planning to go, or
Yeah.
it'd get more expensive. You know, there's a lot of
So-
things that play into this.
There's that, like, I don't know if it actually happened, but Pablo
Mm-hmm.
Picasso, I think it was, he did a drawing on a napkin, and someone was like,
Oh, yeah,
can I have that? Like, how much?
yeah.
It's like, I don't know. He said, like, some insane amount. And they were like, what? But it's only a doodle on a napkin. It was like, yeah, but it took me, like, 50 years to get to this point.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you're paying for, like, my 50 years of experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's like a meme going around as well. Like, or not
I've
a
heard
meme,
it since
but
I
a
was
quote.
little.
Yeah.
No, I know, but I think
talked
it's
about it
just
once a week. For
Yeah.
my
yeah, no, but
entire-
I'm just saying that it's resurfaced. I saw
Yeah.
it like
It's
yesterday
true,
and
it's true.
today,
Yeah.
and yeah, and I
Yeah.
think someone posted it on Facebook, like an old colleague as well, just today. So it is and I totally agree. Like, we work at being good at what we do. You know,
Yeah.
like even
Yeah.
when you're not paying us, we're still working on our
Everything.
craft and trying to get better.
Yeah.
And I think that differs artists from other professions, because some professions you just do your job over and over, and artists fall into this as well, of course.
But, like, let's say even, like, say plastic surgeons.
Yeah.
Some plastic surgeons are experts in boob jobs.
Yeah.
Some plastic surgeons are experts in rhinoplasty, a nose
Yeah,
job.
yeah.
Are you going to go to the one who's famous for nose jobs if you want a boob job?
Yeah.
No.
Yes. No.
No,
I
you're
mean,
going to
no.
go to the
No,
one
I'm
who's
just
famous
kidding.
for boob
You don't
jobs.
I
want
want nose boobs. Give me 2 pair of nose boobs, bro.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to cost a bit more, but in the end, it's quality what you're paying for, and experience and reliability.
Exactly. So everyone, go out there and get boobs. Right?
Not on your nose. Not on your nose.
No, you can get them on your ears or chins.
Mickey Mouse.
Chin boob.
Chin boob. Ew. Just like
It's a new version of side boob.
we should have a video.
No, we should definitely not. Let's leave that in
Anyway.
everybody's brains for now.
Moving on.
Yes.
There you go.
All right. See?
Learning.
Yes.
Learning.
Awesome. But we have actually been doing this talk for way too long. So I think it is time to move on. And
Like, do the tools.
yes, that's exactly right.
Tools.
Do we have anything else? Did we miss anything? We missed a lot of
We
things.
missed everything, I think.
Cool, but we did get the questions in.
We did get
so
the questions
You're
in.
welcome.
So thank you.
Thanks, guys,
All
for
right.
asking.
All right,
We're
so
gonna keep
moving on. Let's
derailing.
do stuff.
Let's do stuff.
Let's sounds.
Let's
Do
what?
sounds.
Let's whoosh. Yes.
My companion, her roommate's cat fell out of a fourth floor
What are you
window.
doing? First you gotta say, and we're back.
Yes.
Do it. Hey.
And we're back.
All right.
Hell yeah.
I'm black. I'm wearing beige.
I'm actually really white. I'm not back in black.
Very pale, so it's fine.
I'm actually
Wearing all
I
black.
think, yeah.
even a Batman shirt under this, so I'm just really dark today.
Very cool.
So welcome back, everybody. Even though she just said it, I said it again, and I'm talking.
We're welcome back,
Welcome
everybody.
back, yes,
I know
yes.
Robert already
So,
said it.
Toolies,
Andrea already
Toolies.
said it. And
Please.
okay. And
Yes.
talk us through what are your favorite tools? Like what piece of art equipment couldn't
I'm
you
glad
live
you
without?
clarified art equipment because there's
Yeah,
many
it's
tools that is
so
my favorite.
Thank you.
Tool.
So
Yeah, that's what I meant.
obviously I'm a digital illustrator, so my
Boom,
favorite
that's not a
tool
real art.
is my tablet. But I have to clarify that when I was growing, like I had a tablet since I was 7. Like my parents got me the very first Wacom tablet that ever came out. Been using it, and then I upgraded to the Graphire, and then I upgraded to the Intuos, whatever.
Oh, you had the one before the Graphire?
Yup.
Fuck,
Yeah.
I had the Graphire.
No, I told you I had the first one. So
Been
Was
out
that
playing.
like a
Graphire 3.
I had that too.
I had that one as well.
sketch.
I don't think Wacom did that.
You sure?
They fucking
But
should.
anyway,
Sorry.
so I never was able to get over the disconnect. And I know people say it's not the tool, blah, blah, but it's what you're comfortable with. And I was never really able to get over the disconnect between the tablet where you're drawing on the table and you're looking at your screen.
Yeah.
So my favorite tool is my Cintiq because I can draw on the screen. I'm not drawing way over here and looking up here. So I have a Cintiq 24-inch. It's got it several years ago. And what else do I use? I really like my iPad Pro. That's really handy because it's so lightweight. Adobe Photoshop. That's technically a tool. That's pretty much
Love.
exclusively what I use. And yeah, those are like my top 3.
So do you use, or like, do you create a lot of your own brushes and all that, or do you stick to Photoshop standard?
I have like an eclectic collection that I've gathered over the years. I either download other artists' brushes. Kyle's brushes are always handy.
Those are nice.
Some of them I've created myself. It's kind of like a mix and mash of like either stuff I've scanned or stuff I've like already had. I mostly use like chalk brushes if I use any from the Photoshop selection. And I also really like the tool set brushes, like not just brushes, but the tool brushes. I don't know what the difference is. I just feel like they're kind of better. But yeah.
Nice.
No, keep going. No, just kidding.
Keep talking.
Keep talking.
Also, this is like, no one's ever going to mention this, but a fucking decent chair. Great tool. Because you're sitting at your desk for like so long. And you need a great computer too. I build my own PCs. I've been building them since I was 14. So
Dorky.
I love that you're using that.
yeah. PC better than Mac. Just saying.
Yeah, political correctness, yo. Better than Mac.
I don't know about that.
Those are all tools.
Yeah. So, if you went traditional now, what would be your setup?
Linkin Park. No?
Sometimes I do try to paint traditional, and last time I did, I was using poster paint, which is what they use. Actually, I got it shipped in from Japan. It's what the Ghibli studio uses, is poster paint. Nicker poster paint, I think it is. So I was doing that, and I really liked it, but I would love to do oils.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never really actually succeeded at oils before, so I would like to be good at it.
Welcome
one
to the
day.
club.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like the never drying thing, or like
Yeah,
slow
it's the never
dry.
drying.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of using oils on like a primed flatboard canvas or something. It had no air to breathe,
So it's just always wet?
so it was always
Oh
wet.
shit.
Yeah.
I think I've done the same.
Yeah, and I told someone this who worked in oils, and they were like, "Oh no, it should have dried." And I was like,
Well,
"Because it was there for 3 months and it never dried." So yeah, I haven't succeeded at oils, but I would love to give it another go one
Yeah,
day.
me too. I
But
would really love to explore more.
The thing I like about the Nicker poster paint stuff is it's kind of like a mix of gouache and watercolor.
That's
okay.
that I like.
Yeah.
That I like.
Yeah.
Because the acrylic stuff that we talked about last time.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a future episode somehow, and it's that gouache is like it has a bit more like matted texture,
Yeah,
whereas
yeah.
acrylic looks like
Shiny.
plastic.
Acrylic is
or
basically
painting.
plastic,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah. It even peels like plastic.
Yeah.
It does
Yes,
that.
it
I even
does.
used to paint like wounds with it.
Yeah.
And then you could have it like peel,
Yeah.
you know, like open.
Whereas gouache is more like, I like to think of it as like a sand medium, like it's
Yeah,
more like
exactly.
sand. Watercolor is just pigment and water, but that's why I like the poster paint because it's kind of like the best of both worlds,
Yeah.
watercolor and gouache.
So
Yeah.
they mix well, and
And of course you can always like mix gouache with poster paint and
Okay.
watercolor as well.
nice.
Even like Copics, like there's no limits. You can just don't gotta stick to one. So
That's
put some
why I like
Copics in
those
there.
matte like mediums because you can paint with other stuff on top of them
Yeah.
once they've dried.
Yeah.
You just go mental on top of
Yeah.
them, and I really like mixing mediums.
Yeah, but oils are the most akin to digital painting that you can do traditionally, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I think oils would be more natural to me.
Yeah, I've always wanted to learn how to do. When you see people doing like a full portrait in one sitting.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Like-
love that when they just
like-
sketch it in the painting and then
that's-
the under like.
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
So, good,
So
yeah.
that's always been in the back of my head. Like I want to just take one of those courses and have an expert tell me this is how you do this.
at orange there.
Exactly.
yeah.
Not just sit and watch YouTube clips. Actually have the person there.
Yeah.
But it's because that's always been something that's discouraged me from getting into the oils more. Even I've tried a couple of times, but it's always been you paint this layer and then you wait a couple of weeks, and then you paint this layer and you wait
Yeah.
I don't have that patience.
no,
Yeah.
I don't.
I would like it to
Um,
dry when I want it to dry.
Yeah.
I would like to start painting when it's finished.
That's the thing is 'cause I don't feel that I have like currently I don't have that time to wait for the paintings but I think if you do like you do that you have several things going on so that you have some stuff that is like quick drying.
That's what a lot of tradition. That's what a lot of oil painters do, actually. Yeah.
Because that's nice. Then you have like several paintings. You take breaks and you just like sort of
Yeah.
rotate, which is nice. But then you need room for it.
Exactly.
You know.
I don't feel like I'm that creative.
I don't know. Like, I think you find things, like how our friend Prakash found his like ink drawings, with the like occult stuff that he did.
I still love all this stuff.
Yeah, I love that too. Like, I would never draw it. I have no inclination towards that style. But he found it, and when he found it, you just noticed how he just started developing
Yeah.
in that style, like a lot.
But that's
And-
with you and your link is the same.
Yeah, I think so.
It's
It's
the
just like
same
for me
sort of
now,
thing.
I feel like I'm doing the same thing.
But you've just opened that door, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be so interesting to see what your stuff is gonna look like in like 2 years.
Mhm.
Where does it go from here?
Yeah, now it's like the ink and the gouache. Like I'm trying to
Exactly.
explore that, but I don't have time to sit with gouache. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But it's still
you need
like
to
a
make time, Elias.
yes,
We talked about
I
this.
will make time.
Tell him, Andrea.
We've talked about
We
this.
talked about this. Elias. Just shut the fuck up and
Actually-
paint, motherfucker.
There was when I was first working and experimenting with those poster paints.
Mm-hmm.
There was someone who would walk by me and they would tell me like, why are you wasting time on this? Why don't you just draw? Like, why don't you go on your computer and make something?
Like, why are you wasting time telling me this, bitch? Get the fuck out of my
Yeah,
face.
like, make something you can make money off of or something.
Okay.
Yeah, paint money.
But to me, like, I think the more you can learn, the more you can experience. It's all valuable time spent. So even if you don't think you have the time, make the time.
Always make
Always
time.
make
Yeah.
the time.
Because
Yeah.
it's people asking us, for example, like I live minute by minute. It's all sort of like, it's not planned out, but it's always like there's always something to do.
Yeah.
If I didn't take the time to go work out, to draw on my own shit, like I've seen people on the train, but they're looking at you, buddy. And people are like, how do you have time to draw like your personal stuff, your freelance stuff, your blah stuff, your podcast? And I take the time. I don't watch Netflix on the train. I draw because that is calming for me. That is meditation for me.
Actually, yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people ask me like, "Oh, what did you think of this new series and this series
I
and
haven't
this
seen
series?" And I'm
shit,
like,
yeah.
"I haven't watched TV in like 2 years."
Yeah. Actually, while we were having burgers, the phone call that I got was from Viasat asking like if I wanted, like a package or some sort.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I don't even watch TV. Like, why would I waste time?
I didn't even go to the theater for like 8 months. Like, I only
I haven't
started
been
catching
either.
up movies recently.
Haven't seen the Joker. Haven't seen
Oh my
pretty much
God.
anything that's come
You're
before
missing,
that.
missing out.
I will say the Joker is really good.
Yes.
No, I know it is.
It's one of
And
the best ones this year, I think.
Yeah.
For me.
I
at
will
least.
try to go and see it, and just because I kind of like the controversy around it as well. That people are like, it's just still like a movie. You know what I mean? Like we should be able to. I think make jokes. If you're a comedian, you should be able to joke about most things,
Of
and
course.
you should be able to make movies because they're not fucking real.
That's
And
the whole
we should
point
be
of
able to
it.
express
Yes.
ourselves.
Yeah.
It's a piece of art like
Oh.
any other piece of art.
And I wanted to ask, now that we have you here, and it's not just us doing this.
By the way, that motion he just did.
He was driving a car. It was
I was
definitely
driving a
steering
car.
something.
It was a green car.
Sure.
It's a green
Yes, yes.
car.
Milking cows.
No,
milking.
but I'm thinking there are some artists out there, and I like super comment on the front page of DeviantArt. You know, like super like for some vulgar art. You know, like chicks with dicks. You know, like penetration stuff, like
Yeah.
buttholes, like in your face.
Where are you
What
going
is
with
your-
this?
Exactly. This is a photo shoot.
Yes.
No, but I'm just thinking, like, what is your opinion on, like, because I think everyone should be able to express themselves however the fuck they want without, like, oh, well, what kind of message is this sending, you know?
So yeah, express yourself however you want. Maybe it's because I was part of the Tumblr community and I still
Oh,
am.
yeah.
But the thing is like sometimes something that you draw is going to offend someone.
Yeah.
And that's when you put it in the tags. Like you got to be respectful of people's. I forget what that triggers. Like it's not your job to be respectful of
No.
someone's triggers. It's just like kind of you.
Kind of.
to be.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
like dick pics and penetration and buttholes and stuff. Maybe someone has serious triggers to stuff like
Or
that.
trauma, yeah. You don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I don't mind like express yourself however you want, but like
Don't
maybe
shove it in
maybe
people's face.
don't shove it in people's face. Or if you
Yeah.
do, at least tag it so people can avoid it if they
Can
don't
avoid
want to
it.
see
Yeah, but
it.
I like that.
Yeah.
That is like a respectful way of looking into it because I'm not a big fan of seeing like even photos of people like lying with their face on the ground and like spreading their butt cheeks, and I just get like a butthole on the front page of DeviantArt because I don't have a filter on. But I think they should definitely express themselves however they want. But yeah, I would really appreciate like, so if I want to remove that, I mean, I could do that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's tagged
Yeah,
in
exactly.
that way. But good response. I respect you more now. Like, check this out, guys. No, just kidding.
Want to see my bell?
That would be talking about creeps before, and then like, I love your opinion. Want to check my butthole? Like,
No, I was actually gonna do this because if you do this, it kind of looks like a butthole.
Oh, well, Robert did it in the
Yeah,
photo.
yeah,
that we
that's-
took. That's
I'm
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
really good at it. It's
yeah.
my thing.
But you had like a hemorrhoid coming
yeah.
out or something. Just like, I don't know what that
Yeah.
was.
Sorry,
Just
kissy
like,
faces look like buttholes. Just saying.
Yeah,
That's-
they,
yeah.
They do.
So
They do.
yeah, for me it's prairie dogging it.
Oh, that is so disgusting. Yeah.
Gross.
I think I learned that phrase from like Rat Race. Was that the movie?
I just want to
yeah.
say prairie dog. That's like where I'm from. That's what we call gophers. That's what that is.
Oh yeah,
No, I'm rotating my
she's trying to keep herself not
I'm-
bored.
exercising.
Very good.
Yes, but we
Okay,
are
so
done with the Thule
I
part.
think we are done with two, and it's
And-
time to dive into the next segment.
The next segment. Yes.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Are you
What's the
ready?
next
Are
segment?
you ready?
Welcome back
Yeah, welcome back.
to
Retro.
Retro.
And today we're going to be talking about Cool World.
Not all the time because we
Yes,
still
we
have
are.
a guest. And
Yeah.
Elias just wants to talk about this fucking shitty movie. But
I didn't know it was going to be this sucky.
Cool world isn't cool.
that's
That's exactly
all we
what I
needed to
wrote.
say.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wrote to him. I was like, Cool World isn't as cool as it sounds.
I mean, I loved it when I was a kid. It made me have feels for ladies, but yeah.
Same. But then you rewatch it, like, there's nothing wrong with...
speaking of getting stoned and writing stuff.
I just want to say
oh,
Roger
yeah.
Rabbit. If you're gonna go for real life mixed with
Uh-huh.
animation,
Yeah, yeah,
Roger
yeah.
Rabbit's the better
Space
one.
Jam.
And then Space
Space
Jam,
Jam,
and then
yeah.
this movie you
Yeah.
can just ignore.
And then there's
Uh,
there's this game.
everything
I
else.
think it was called like Chaos Flux or something like that. Anyway,
Chaos
Aeon
Flux,
Aeon
yes.
Flux.
Aeon Flux. No, I think that's an anime. Is it?
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
MTV
Yeah.
anime.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
MTV
about a
anime.
game where it's like animation mixed with real life.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember that.
No. Same.
But yeah.
Kinda
But yeah.
niche.
The problem with Cool World is that
It's got Brad Pitt in it. No?
Yeah, it has Brad Pitt in it and that guy Byrne.
Guy Pearce. No, that's
no,
a
something
different-
Byrne.
Fuck, Byrne. Oh my god.
Jason Byrne. I don't know.
Fuck.
Fuck
Anyway.
it. Nobody
Anyways,
cares. Nobody
yeah,
cares.
yeah.
And Kim Basinger.
Kim
or
Basinger.
whatever.
Yeah.
But the problem with this movie is that it's basically the cartoon wants to fuck the real person to become human or,
Yep.
whatever happens. They don't know. But the plot is so, like, terrible. And I think Brad Pitt has, like, the lines that keep going over and over is like, don't sleep with the Noid. Don't sleep with the Noid. And the other guy is like, is this a dream? I must be dreaming. This can't be real. And this is like, now it's been like 1.5 hours of them just talking like that, I think. And it's so, like, sexual.
Yeah, it is. Like the whole movie has a sexual undertone constantly. Yeah.
And it's so weird because it was supposed to be super dark. It's the guy behind Fritz the Cat and some other, like, wacky cartoons like that played a lot on sex and, And this movie was supposed to be about, like, the artist and Holly. I don't know if that was the original idea, but they were going to have a kid, and it was supposed to be about that kid. And he's upset at his father because he's, like, part human, part cartoon. And he wants to go to the real world to kill his father or something like that in the original script. And it was supposed to be, like, R-rated. And the studio and Kim Basinger they wanted to go, like, PG.
Of course.
And because she was doing, like, she was going to hospitals and talking about different things, like visiting kids and stuff. And she wanted to be able to show this movie, which she could not, I hope, because
we're hoping she didn't.
I hope she didn't. Because it's really like this is how scripts get fucked, like there's a vision, and I kind of liked the early vision if they were going to go dark with it to explore this, like, character that doesn't belong in either world because he's half of both.
And I'm guessing his dad probably abandoned him, which is why he's in the other world.
Yes, because he's in the real world and
Yeah.
he was left in the cartoon one, and I guess the mom didn't play a part in that uprising, his
Upbringing?
Yeah, thank you. Uprising. But I'm just like, it could have been an interesting story, dark as it is. But yeah, then the studio came in and they secretly rewrote the whole thing, and but he still had to, like, do the thing. And
You're already committed to the contract.
exactly. And there's, like, they're talking, like, Brad Pitt and this cartoon character Holly, and then there's, like, these animations, like, flying on top. They're not part of the ground or the backgrounds or anything. They're just, like, flying through the air over them while they're talking. There's, like, floating heads spinning around.
They probably
like,
wanted to
transparent.
give a sense of depth to the 2D world, but no.
But they didn't.
But
Like, a cool thing they did do in this world is that they actually painted some of the set.
Yeah, I was going to
So
bring
it's
that up.
that's pretty cool. Like, they created some crazy backgrounds. Not my personal favorite art, but you can appreciate it as an artist.
Yeah.
Like the work behind it, that they built this city.
It's very
and
trippy.
It is super trippy.
I remember rewatching that like a few years ago, and I was just shocked at how bad it was.
Oh yeah, I couldn't wait for it to end.
Yeah.
That was my feeling.
I don't think I even got all the way through. I think I skipped like to the last 20 minutes and was like,
Oh, come on.
The
just-
best thing
yeah.
about the ending is that I think, like, the comic book guy, Byrne, whatever the fuck his first name was,
Yeah.
says, like, a line where they're trying to, like you can't start building character at the end of the movie, like, you've already gone too far with this stupid lines. Like, why did you do that? This must be a dream. Like, you can't give him lines at the end of the movie and expect everyone to give a fuck.
No, and he's so uncharming as well.
No, I don't know. Like, I think he's not a bad actor, but in that movie, no one gets anything to work with. Like, the lines are shit.
Yeah.
They keep breaking the story. In the beginning, there's like, you need to use the spike that cartoon doctor made.
Oh, yeah.
But then they're able to jump between the worlds without it all the time on command. And you're like, but what? And they keep breaking their own rules that they've set for this world. And it's just like,
and that's what
you don't care.
I mean, the whole thing of world building is have your rules.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just stick to them. Do whatever else you want to do, but
Yeah.
just stick to those like simple rules that you've
Yeah.
created. But they break them like immediately. And one of the worst parts is the animation when they like Brad Pitt like grabs a cigarette from a cartoon character and then smokes it, and it's so poorly done. Like it's really like they did not have the same sort of stuff that Roger Rabbit had like 4 years earlier, because I think Roger Rabbit came out in '88 and this movie came out in like '92, I think. But they're like Roger Rabbit, like if you look at it to this day,
It's still
flawless.
great.
It holds up
It's a timeless
well.
classic. It probably always will be as well. Whereas Cool World is forgotten.
But I
Yeah,
think they
it didn't
wanted
age
to.
well.
No.
Oh, it did not age at all.
So that's something that fascinates me. Is like, how do we remember it so fondly? Why?
Yeah, what the fuck is that? Like, I must
Because
have
I
been
mean,
dropped.
yeah, because you came up with it, and as soon as you said Cool World, I was like, fuck yeah, Cool World! Oh my god, yeah.
Well, I
And
think
then,
the thing is, you'd have to ask your parents like what they thought of it at the time, because
I don't think I
we
watched
were,
it with my parents. I rented it.
Yeah,
we were
rented it.
younger. We thought it was like cool because we were younger. We didn't have like the critical thinking.
Yeah,
So I would want to ask an adult what they thought of it back then.
I don't think my
I'm
mom
100%
remembers
sure
it.
they haven't seen it.
Yeah, a lot of movies that I watched as a kid.
Yeah.
Because renting movies back then cost nothing.
No, like
And we used to rent by the bulk. Like,
Yeah.
remember? Like all those
Yeah, yeah,
crappy
yeah.
ninja movies that we kept renting over and over.
it was like
Where the fuck
a
did we find that
minimum
money?
of 5.
Yeah.
always.
And we'd just
like,
binge them.
yeah.
And they
was
were
our thing.
brutal. Like, they weren't good brutal, but, you know, like...
Well, some were, but yeah.
were very past tense.
Let's not watch them again. Let's not ruin any more childhood memories, please.
But yeah, this movie has like nothing. Like they've animated the character well, like Holly, but it's all like sexual
Exactly.
and it's off-putting.
And I remember Brad Pitt speaking like really monotone a lot as
Yeah, I
well.
don't-
But
Like, I
this
didn't
must have
even-
been before he did, or right after Thelma and Louise. Like, this must be his
I have
second
no
acting
idea. I don't know. When did
credit.
Thelma and Louise come out?
I think it
Don't
was
even
94.
remember.
No, this is
Something
before.
like that?
This is before. So
don't
this is
remember now.
before. But it's
but
yeah.
doesn't matter.
There's nothing in this movie that makes you like, oh, I want to know what happens.
No.
Like there is like even the animation is like in some places it's really good. I think they've
Yeah.
done like the way Holly moves is great. Like they've done it well, but the character is not great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I
I
can
definitely remember
appreciate
it
the
being
anime.
better when I was younger.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like Jessica Rabbit was my first girl cartoon crush, but Holly was my next.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think.
I remember it like that
Yes,
as well,
same.
but now that I've seen it with, you know, like experience.
Yeah, now it's not
and
so much.
it's, no. Roger Rabbit, I watched with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
This one I'm never
Critical
gonna watch
failure.
with my kids. Yeah.
Failure.
Holy shit!
agree.
It is so bad
So bad.
that you get angry and you want it to end. Like I
Yeah.
don't remember watching anything that I,
Yeah.
except Endgame, that I wanted to end.
Well, that's just
No,
sad
I
in
didn't. No, I'm just
itself.
kidding. I didn't want the Endgame to end.
Nobody
Only the
wanted
second
it to
time.
end
Only the second time.
on your left.
But when I saw Cool World, I was like, basically
you,
just like,
you were done before it began.
yeah, no, yeah. I just like, Mrs. Stark, I don't feel so good. I just started fading away. Just like, ugh. It was so bad.
Spoilers.
No. No spoiler here. I didn't give them context. Maybe he just got a stomach flu.
Yeah.
Mr. Stark,
You know how
I
it
need
gets.
to poop.
IBS.
MIB.
My anxiety's getting to me.
Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good.
I shouldn't have had that coffee.
Very
so
good.
I just want to apologize for telling people it was probably easy to find. It was not easy to
It
find.
was
this
not
fucking
easy
got
to find. Yeah, I got a
Seriously.
lot of dick pop-ups before I got to
It's
the
not
right.
even
No, it
available
wasn't, but
on YouTube to rent and buy. It's not
Thank
even there.
goodness
Huh.
it isn't there to rent and buy because it's buys.
I
as we
could
say in
find it, and it
Swedish.
was chopped up into
The only type
pieces.
of buys you should have with this movie.
Yeah. No, so I'm pretty happy I didn't find it and didn't have to pay for it again.
I think you should
do-
burn it.
I-
Just
I-
burn every copy.
I own it on DVD, so yeah.
Mhm.
But just sorry if you went like into YouTube or whatever and you were expecting to find it super easily. it wasn't easy. I'm sorry.
But it is available on iTunes.
Yes. So
I wouldn't pay
don't,
for it.
Don't
though.
go there.
Don't
And
go
if
there.
you did pay for it and watched it,
I'm very
well, at least
sorry.
you learned something about yourself.
Then Ilias owes you money.
I am very sorry.
Yeah, when you told me, oh yeah, we're gonna watch Cool World, watch if you have time, I was like, I don't think I have time, but I'm good. I don't want to watch that.
No, but if
I
you saw it
remember.
recently, yeah.
I remember.
I
how
haven't
felt.
seen it since I was a kid, though.
Oh yeah.
So, I had a fond version of that in my head. And then as soon as it started and we got to the actual Cool World, I was like, oh no. Oh no. But it's also fun to, to watch crappy shit.
Yeah.
Not on your own, maybe, because that wasn't great. But if we had watched it, that's how we should do
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
That's how we should do it.
Fun.
So from now
fun.
on, the cool thing about working at this or like recording at the studio is that we have a cinema, so we could watch the movies together.
Which is
And-
where I think I want to take the homework thing
Mm-hmm.
as a future.
That would be cooler, right?
But
Like just having
again,
it-
because we are not the most organized people in the world, we
Whatever,
still need to
doesn't
sit down and actually
watch.
organize this, or like
Organize.
have a set day of the week where we do this and stuff. And my schedule is just all over the place. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but
We'll make
figure
it.
out.
We'll make it happen.
As soon as you guys start paying us, we'll start doing it. No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah. So Cool World, not so cool.
Not so cool. Yeah.
That's where we ended up with that.
5 not cools out of
Yes.
5 not cools. It's just
But
like, oh,
speaking of spinking,
I want to spink you all
Spink.
that.
I feel spinky. So we do have a guest.
Yes,
We
hi.
do want to talk to you, and we want you to talk to everybody out there.
Uh-huh.
You too.
So
Are involved.
whenever we get a guest, I always want to ask, if any, do you remember a specific maybe movie or show or comic book or video game, anything that was like, it just immediately made you go, I need to draw, like when you were a kid, or like that pushed you in the right direction?
Final Fantasy VII,
Nice.
definitely.
Claude.
Yeah.
I have not played it.
I've only watched people play it.
Same. Same.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It was
I
easier.
just like
Well, I'm not a fan of those types of games. Like,
same, but they looked very nice.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember, like, my thing was I would go through the guidebook that came with the game.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah,
look at
we
all the
did.
characters, and I'd be like, I want to draw that. So I remember actually trying to draw, like, Cloud based on that picture that it was in the guidebook.
I think we've all drawn that same picture of Cloud, like because I love that.
Yeah, and I think it was because it was the first time that I'd really seen cinematics in a game, and it just kind of, like, stirred my creativity a lot. So, yeah. And also the music. Like, music can really, like, get into your creative mind as well. So that's what made me want to draw. No, I mean, like, I really liked the intro, the
Yeah.
yeah, I like that.
I had such a good sort of drum and bass version of that song forever on my
I think
iPod.
I have to this day
iPod,
maybe
yes.
just like I don't know if it's like 4 or 5 CDs with the music from Final Fantasy.
Oh, I remember we listened to them a couple of times when we were doing our drink and draws back in the days.
But is there anything else that you feel like really made an impact on your artistic life?
I mean, I grew up watching, like, animation and everything. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the biker rats or the biker,
Biker
sharks.
Mice
from
yeah.
Mars.
Yeah,
Fuck
yeah. Also the shark one, whatever that one was.
Oh, Street Sharks.
yeah.
I only had the toys. I didn't actually watch the show.
But actually, it was like anime that got me into it, because the thing about anime that really got me was, like, I'm really moved by emotions, and that's kind of what inspires me creatively. So anime is really good at that. And yeah, I got into anime when my brother rented something from the video store, and then I got more into drawing because I was like, I want to draw things that make me feel the way that did.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing.
Awesome. Do you remember any of your first anime addictions?
Yeah. Well, first it was Sailor Moon, because
Yeah, the first classic.
the thing is like the opening for that was so good. And after that, it was Record of Lotus War.
What?
Lotus whore what? Wait.
Yeah, what?
Record of Lotus War.
Okay, cool. A record of Lotus Whore.
Just like 3 times. I'm just like, hearing this.
It was like a fantasy anime, but
Mm-hmm.
it was the one that my brother rented from the video store, and it's the one that got me into anime.
Oh, I
and
love that.
It also had like a really good intro, and I don't know, intros are beautiful.
I
So
can
it
tell
got
you
me.
this much.
Oh my God,
Like
yes.
all of the cartoons that we watched as kids, and they all had like well-produced intros
Yes.
made by the same guy, of course.
Which is why we have that
Shuki
awesome.
Levy. Yeah, and we
intro.
have in the podcast has, the Sketchbook Heroes intro song is just inspired by old cartoons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we watched The Mask, it was Jason the Wheeled Warriors, Turtles, Thundercats. They all had these like
Powerful.
power metal, like weird
yes.
songs that were so catchy. And animes also had, and I think they have it to this day actually.
Oh, yeah,
like I think
for sure.
a lot of Western cartoons, the intros kind of suck now.
Yeah.
But the animes, they still have that like K-pop, J-pop, different
Yeah.
like
Punch in the
intros.
face
See,
awesomeness.
That's like action. I'm more into the melodic, like kind of melancholy type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it makes you feel things, and then if I feel things, I want to draw it. So
Yeah,
sorry
it's-
to interrupt,
no,
but back when I was talking about a game about like tunes in real life,
Yeah, exactly.
it wasn't a Flux thing. It was a game called Toonstruck, and it was fucking amazing.
Toonstruck.
Toonstruck.
Yeah, go
It
check
had
that
Christopher
out. people.
Lloyd. That's
Oh my god!
Christopher
Oh,
Lloyd, cool.
Ooh.
Anyway, so sorry, I
So
just had to
anyways.
say that in case anyone was wondering what the fuck I was talking about earlier.
But this is what
I like
everybody
that.
is wondering all the time.
All
When
the
we
time.
talk.
We just don't finish thoughts. We
Yes,
just like move
we
on.
just keep moving on.
I think it was the character's name was Flux. I'm not totally idiotic.
Yeah, I'm just hearing weird stuff. I'm not even gonna comment.
So yeah,
Fox.
anime, and video games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what else? Like, what animes were out when we were kids?
So
'Cause it
for
was
me,
like
it
Crying
was
Freeman,
Crying Freeman was the
Akira.
exactly. So it was all of the major motion
Yeah,
pictures.
yeah, yeah.
So Akira, and
Fuck, they were
Ninja
good,
Scroll,
though.
Ghost in the Shell.
Oh shit.
Oh, also The Land
Um,
Before Time.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Before
of
Time.
course.
But
I mean,
isn't
that
Land
was
Before Time the
it's-
like Steven Spielberg?
Don Bluth.
Don Bluth.
It
studio.
was, I think
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
Spielberg.
Yeah, it's
the
Spielberg
first
and
one
Don
is
Bluth,
Spielberg.
like-
Let's not talk about the others. The others don't exist. It's
No,
the
no,
first
no, no.
one we're talking
Mhm.
about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
But-
that T-Rex. So
Yeah.
fucking
Anything that makes me feel emotions kind
Mhm.
of inspires me to draw.
yeah. So Dumbo
That's awesome. Oh shit, Dumbo crushed me even as a grown up.
still does.
I watched The Lion King with
And
my
Lion
kids,
King,
and we
yeah.
all cried. And my daughter and my son looked at me, and they were like, and I was like, I hate this movie. Why are we watching this? And then Dumbo, the same thing. Like my daughter just like,
Ugh.
So
hard-
back when
horror
I was a
movies.
kid, I used to watch like the Disney TV stuff. So like Timon and Pumbaa.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
watched that as
the
well.
Disney Channel would have things where they would do features of like fan art people had sent in.
Oh,
And
really?
I
That's
always
so
used
cute.
to draw something and like hope I'll send it. I never actually sent it. It never got on the screen, but that was something that also kind of encouraged me to draw. I
That's
still
awesome,
remember
yeah.
to this day drawing Mufasa,
Oh,
thinking I'd send it, but I never did.
That's so
Even
cute.
my stomach went. Oh.
Yeah. But I think like buying comics as a kid, like the Donald Duck comics that we had here and whatever the fuck else, they used to have like those competitions as well.
Yeah, I used to read those.
But they're
And
super
Archie
cute.
comic books. Everyone
Oh,
practiced
Archie,
drawing
yeah,
Betty
yeah,
and
yeah.
Veronica. Yeah.
No, just kidding. Yeah, well,
Yes.
I think
I
this
think,
is a wrap.
yeah. I think that's.
Is it a hip hop? No, it's not,
Yeah.
not a rap.
Not a rap. No, obviously, there's always a billion more things you want to ask.
Yeah.
Ask away.
So, let's make it super quick. Any recommendations from you now? I know that you haven't stayed up to date with a lot of things, but if you had a chance to go home and
That
watch
sounded
something
like a
right
personal
now,
attack.
It is.
Damn.
No, but
Why are you attacking our guest, Robert?
because you just
Because now they're
You
gonna think
said
that it's me
that.
attacking her because they can't tell us apart.
that's exactly right. So this is Ilias talking. No, but because you said you've been working so much and you haven't really seen anything for the last 2 years, but if you had time right now,
I've been making time. I've been making time lately.
okay, so you're making time. What would you put on to watch when you get home tonight?
I've been into an anime called Demon Slayer lately.
Oh, was that good?
Yeah.
Because that's what everybody's kept telling me.
Yep.
I started watching the first episode and it wasn't really, like, I didn't get hooked, but everybody says, like, oh, but if you just watch one more
Yeah,
episode,
yeah.
you would have been hooked.
Actually, earlier today, before I came here, I was at my friend's house catching up on My Hero Academia.
Oh.
Yeah, Medina.
Medina. Mimi Arts, right?
Or Mimi Arts on Instagram.
Is
Yeah.
this season 4 now? Or
I think I was catching up on season 3. So
okay.
I was catching up because I hadn't seen it for so long.
All right.
And actually, Demon Slayer was William's recommendation. William Puecker.
Porker.
Porkies.
Porkies. Oh no. another.
Awesome.
Okay,
And that's all, folks.
Yeah. So Demon Slayer and My Hero Academia.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely recommend
yeah.
Academia. That is one of my all-time favorite animes. Try watching the first episode without crying your eyes out. I fucking dare you.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
And
amazing.
story.
If you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you ever want to watch something that's not anime and just makes you happy and wholesome, watch The Great British Bake Off.
Exactly. And if you want to watch something else, watch my Instagram account. No, just kidding. Where can they find you?
If you're not watching me,
Exactly. Fuck you.
if you're not already watching me, well, I'm hurt. But yeah, I am on Instagram. I'm Tumblr and Twitter. My name is Lothlenan. Lothlenan.
Oh shit! Yeah, we forgot about that.
Lothlenan.
Lothlenan.
Yeah. Or if you want to just see what I'm up to on my travels, my personal Instagram is Andrea Tamme.
Nice.
So is mine.
Yes.
Find me there.
Yeah.
Find us all there.
Andrea Tamme Lothlenan. Definitely that.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think
you for-
that's pretty much it. We're always sorry to let people go, so we'll just tie you up and leave you here until next week.
You guys should have like a fun thing where like we all try to sing Rap God or something before we leave.
We always have
What?
that.
Because you can sing Rap God?
Okay, let's
Yeah,
wrap this up.
fuck
Fuck
it,
you, Dr. Phil.
Fuck you, Derail! God damn it! All right, everybody,
All right.
thank you so much.
Thank you for joining. Find us at Sketchbook Heroes on the things.
On the things,
and,
yes, all the things.
Write to us on the Sketchbook Heroes
Also
something
all the
something
things,
on
yes.
the things.
All the things.
Thank you.
And
Very professional.
thank
stuff.
you, Andrea, for-
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes.
That's great.
Take care of those fingernails. Don't bite them.
What style is that?
All right, let us do the music thing and then we get the fuck out.
Okay.
So, Rap Gods, let's do it.
Intro you. Rap God. Some lama do mama, you're assuming I'm gonna. Okay, yeah, we're not going there.
We're out.